Oh, I like your cats.
Don't
I
forget
like
to
your
record,
kitties on the
Stephanie.
wall. Your
Yeah,
kitties.
my kitties.
Yeah.
Aren't they pretty?
Hang on.
Those were in my room when I was a kid.
She just not turned the live stream on.
So Donna, I can hear a lot of background noise for you.
Yeah.
So would you be able to mute yourself and then
Yep.
unmute whenever you want to say something? Perfect.
At least until later when it gets too casual
Rowdy.
for our own good.
Yeah.
We know
that's
how
all
that
good.
works.
We do. Okay, we're on. I'm about to record. Where's my recording button? There it is.
Everybody get your swear buttons out.
All right, we are recording.
And are we live?
Yes.
We are live. I'm making sure I can hear us.
Yeah, you can.
Awesome.
Yay!
Gwendolyn
Look at your
has
hair
checked for us.
today.
I
Yeah,
know
I
it's down and gorgeous.
She
We
found her
got Kathy
hairbrush.
McGuire.
Oh, my hair?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't put it down too often these days. I just
Yeah.
got about a month ago, right before my retreat that I went to, I got a foot cut off. So it's really weird because it feels so short.
My God.
But when I was pregnant, my hair was down to my knees. So,
I don't
it
want to
needs
know how
like,
bathroom breaks work with something like that and being pregnant and everything.
No,
That sounds like too much to handle.
The worst part is laying in bed. You have to put your hair up when you're laying in bed because you roll, like I would roll on it. Oh, it was the worst. And then my husband would always complain. He's like, I find your hair everywhere.
It's just like threads that we find everywhere because sewing.
So what have you ladies been up to?
Stephanie, are you there? You're muted again. Stephanie has muted herself. That's fine.
I have muted myself. Can you
There
hear
you
me
are.
now?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
There we are. I don't know how I keep muting myself.
Oh, well. This week I worked on that same project I was working on last week that I was basically almost done with, but then I got angry at because there were so many flying geese. But I did have, speaking of flying geese, I had a win this week. I was featured as one of Auraphil's 10 makers.
I saw. How awesome.
Yes, this week for a quilt that I draped over my porch goose. So that's the kind of geese I like to have, porch geese, which we've talked about. I have a pattern for my porch geese. I need to start working on that at some point. I didn't disappear. I just came down here.
So Stephanie, what was your goal this week to get done? I forget.
My goal was to get started on my book quilts, and I have.
Yay!
So I've got a few more of these to sew together, and then like my center stars are done, and then I have to attempt to cut my log cabin strips in color order while I'm live on the internet, which usually doesn't go very well. So we're gonna see how that goes.
You
Kathy,
sure you don't want to make geese clothes?
I absolutely do not. I don't have. I'll make.
We can make a book
clothes,
of this.
Maybe on August. That actually probably would sell really well. I would probably get a green light on that.
It's the Portuguese Society of America or something like that.
She got me to join too, and so now my feed is flooded with geese costumes and everybody sourcing concrete geese from places.
That's what you get for making a pattern with so many geese.
You have me looking for the geese too.
Yes.
Yeah. It has mailbox options too, in case you want. I found this like secondhand. You have to find these secondhand. They don't make these anymore.
I mean, I feel like maybe they do. But Kathy on YouTube is saying she needs directions for trimming blocks. So Kathy, what kind of blocks are you trimming? Because I probably have a video for it. Or are you talking like big blocks to get them, like once you finish putting a block together and it's, oh, she's coming in. Kathy McGuire's been on a bunch of times, I believe. Kathy, I am going to have you answer a question just because we've had some bad luck with people joining. So first,
Maria.
the question can just be, what kind of blocks are you trying to trim? So ask that in the chat or answer that in the chat. And if it sounds for sure like you're a quilter, we'll let you in because we've had some bad luck with some people pretending to be quilters who
Yeah.
really have nefarious purposes.
Yes.
They
And
use
nobody
quilts
wants
differently.
to see that.
While we're waiting for her to answer the question, you want to see I completed my
Yes,
goal this
I
week.
saw
What'd
it.
you
It was so
I know.
good.
Chantel's already seen it.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh
Nice.
my gosh. That's amazing.
Ooh wee.
So did you
That's
assemble it all on
beautiful.
like an applique pressing sheet?
Okay, yeah. So the back, this is the stitch block. Woo! I have it on my design board because I don't, even though I have it pressed on my block, it's not sewn on yet. So I don't want it to fall off just to hold it up. So it needs like support. But
Oh, that's so pretty.
I use, you know, that my collage flowers, right? You guys can see it okay, right?
Yeah.
And I used a pressing sheet for sure. And it has the Steamacine 2 light on the back. And then it becomes like a sticker. Let me see if I can. See,
I love Steamacine too. That stuff is an amazing product.
I know. It's awesome. So, yes, I finished my first block of my
That's
quilt.
beautiful. So
then-
was that a kit? It was a kit because I love that background.
This is a block of the month, and this line of fabric is called Longwood, and it is by Emily Taylor, the collage quilter. She
She
designed
has a
it.
great book.
Yes, she designed it specifically for this block of the month quilt that she's doing. So you have to go to her website and get it. I don't know if you can get it in stores yet. But I pieced,
love it.
I did it this side, like I'll show you. This side of I didn't like so much wide, so I pieced this little string of green in
Got a
between.
little accent.
Yes, I just liked it better. So and
I think it
was
looks great.
so precise.
Yeah.
And then I changed out the corners too. I wanted something a little brighter. Originally in the block of the month, she has this fabric in the corners, but I decided I wanted something brighter. And I had picked this up on retreat, knowing that I was going to put it in this quilt. I don't know if you can see, but it has just a little bit of shine to it. So
Yeah. Ah, the
Oh,
flower
your
went
flower's
tippy.
falling.
it's
Don't let
okay.
it fall.
Stick it right
It's
back up.
wilting.
But yes, I'm so excited that I finished it. I just can't. I've been looking at it all week. It's been sitting here. So
I'm
I
going to
have the
pop in
box.
real quick. We've got
Okay.
Kathy and Dawn would like to join. Kathy and Dawn, you both have questions from me. Kathy just answered, so we're good. Kathy, if you and Dawn, you answered correctly. Perfect. Kathy, if you try to join again, I will let you in because we have correct answers to prove you are in fact a quilter.
Yay. Welcome to the
Yay.
team.
Once you're in once, like we'll remember your name. I probably should keep track of the names.
We
That's what I
try our
should do.
hardest to remember.
Yes, but then sometimes people fool me like last time.
Yeah.
That's no
Well,
good.
I can
It's
start
like,
a
whoops,
list.
let's get rid of that one.
Yes. We all saw some things we didn't care
Well,
to
you
see.
can't. It's hard to
I
prevent
didn't
it,
see
right?
it. I had
More
went
than
on
Dawn,
somewhere, so
ROW.
thank God.
Hi, Dawn.
Hello, Dawn.
Now you can see I am a quilter.
You are definitely
I
a
have
Oh,
quilter.
piece stuff
absolutely.
everywhere.
That's very clear. All
And
right,
you're
so
a
you're looking
basement
for
quilter too.
well, a lot of us are basement quilters. So you're looking for half square triangle advice. Dawn, did I mute myself again? No, I didn't.
No,
Not
you're
this time.
good.
You didn't. You're
Want me to-
there.
How exciting.
Dawn, you're
Dawn's
muted.
accidentally muted.
Yeah, she's muted.
All right, so Dawn, I am sending you a link to our triangle masterclass. It is free, completely free. There is a pattern if you want to go with it. I'm going to put it in the link for the comments. on YouTube so that other people can find it there too. If you go to curriculum, there is a list of videos and it teaches you how to do, Dawn, you're on mute again, all kinds of, or actually, no, you're not on mute again. I'm looking at YouTube. It shows you how to do all kinds of triangle units from squares, and it covers how to trim half square triangles. Kathy, I did see your answer, but you are not currently in the waiting room on the Zoom chat. So if you try to rejoin, then I will approve you.
Dawn
All
is
right.
still muted. She's still showing me.
Yeah, I believe you are muted. Okay, so Dawn.
The technical details of Zoom is not exactly our strong point.
If you're hearing echoing, Dawn, it means that you need to mute the Facebook or the YouTube feed because there is a slight delay in what goes to YouTube. So if you mute on YouTube and just have the audio going on Zoom, then you won't hear that echo anymore. We all had to figure that out too along the way.
Yeah, y'all had to instruct me.
Yes, it takes a minute.
I still have to instruct myself for it.
Well, Donna, what was on your list this week to do? Did you have anything besides prepare for your retreat?
I'm at retreat.
Yeah.
I know. You're in Alabama.
Well, we figure we made it there.
I've been embroidering gnomes. So I have 7 more blocks. So I have 3 more trees.
Do you have that pattern so we could see what it was? You don't have to get it right this second. I just like to see what it was again.
Yeah, it was a bunch of gnomes, and then there's like little trees, and then some trees are plain, some are decorated, but it's kind of like a January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Like I just did the September one, and it was a teacher one, right? It had an apple in her hand and the ruler up to this on the side of her, so it was cute.
Was that the one by Stitches of Love?
Stitches of Love.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
And she's got a new gnome one. She's got a new gnome one coming out. It's not the one, because I had a friend trying to get the one that I'm doing right now. It's a couple years old, and yeah, it's kind of like they don't do that. So it's like, okay. But yeah, that's what I've been working on.
I was trying to talk my daughter into a gnome pattern because I have it, and Gwendolyn knows this, but have you seen this one before?
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Elizabeth Hartman. Adorable, right? I think I'm gonna have to make a Christmas version of this. But Hazel decided that she wants Cats in Pajamas by Elizabeth Hartman. So I let her pick all of her pajamas this week. And she picked the cutest fabric because she picked Trixie by Heather Ross, which is all mice.
Oh my gosh. That's
so
so
all
cute.
the cats will have
that's
mice
adorable.
And strawberries and stuff on their pajamas. Which I had to admit was like genius, right? Because if you're going to have sweet dreams as a cat, you're going to dream of mice.
About mice.
Right? So that was her logic that, to have sweet dreams as a cat, got to have mice. So that's my next.
Hold that up.
I never made
that green one. That green one at the bottom. The very bottom. That one. What? No, the other one. Turn around.
This one?
That one.
Strawberries.
Oh, it's strawberries. I thought those were little tails on the mice. I was trying to see the mice with strawberries.
That would be funny. I think it came as part of this. It looks like Trixie that was a couple years ago that came out. But they're all like,
she got a strawberry in her basket.
Yeah, exactly. They all have like a little radishes and little strawberries in their bags and stuff. So now I'm like, oh great, you chose something really special and I don't want to screw it up, and it's the picky child. So we'll see how that goes. The one that's going to notice, if you didn't, that child.
Just teach the picky child, and then it will be her mistakes and she'll learn.
Oh no, she's smart enough to know. I'd rather if you did it. That way it's your problem. She's going to be 8 this weekend. So she knows what's up.
It's the birthday trip. Stephanie 2.0 also. Stephanie 2.0 also got a haircut.
I did.
Happy. You are
Great.
You're in,
Stephanie.
Kathy. You just have not joined
But
the
you
audio
don't
or the video.
have to.
Well,
You
there's
don't have to, but I think she wants to.
been a long time.
Oh, there she is.
I'm gonna
There you
show
are. We see you. There you are.
I don't know.
You hear me?
I'm
All
sorry,
right.
but Stephanie 2.0 actually comes in as Stephanie 2.0, and that is phenomenal.
I know. I love that you
changed
changed
my,
your
We all just
name
called
on
her
there.
Stephanie B. She's like,
No.
I could go by something
She's-
else. I'm like, no, you will
She's
not. It's your
Stephanie
name.
2.0 in this group. It's like the improved model. Sorry, Steph.
It's all good. I'll go with that. It's fine.
Additional model, whatever you need it to be.
Hey, you're the original. That's
Catherine,
what.
you just need
yeah,
to bring
that-
your video down some.
So Kathy, what was your question again? I'm trying to scroll back and I'm not seeing it.
Can you
She
hear
had
me?
some trim blocks she wanted to trim, I think.
Oh yes.
How do I get everybody?
Is that the one that I put the link in already? My brain is not
Yeah,
functional
no, that
at
was
the
for
moment.
Dawn, I believe.
Well,
Let me find
Donna,
Kathy.
your gnoming goal and we talked about that last week had me bring out my gnomes as well. And guess what? So recently, within the last little bit, I was able to acquire a new to me Juki, which I've always stitched on vintage machines, not new machines. And this week I was able to teach my daughter to sew, and I used it, and we worked on the gnome blocks.
cool.
It was a block of the month with shabby fabrics we talked about last week. I don't know if you remember, and I had bought her some as well, and we hadn't been able to work on it for a while, and so not only did we do the applique part this week, but I actually taught her how to use a sewing machine, and she sewed, I would say, probably for about 3-ish hours.
Great.
Yeah. And she was
So-
like, wow, Mom. She goes, this was not what I was expecting this to be like. And I said, see, it's not rocket science. I said, it's like driving a car. It's no big deal. And she was like, this is fun. This is way easier. So, yeah. So we're, gnoming it out over here too.
What kind of Juki was it? Is it like a straight stitch or?
Yeah, it's just the 2010 Q.
Yeah, I mean, I just picked up a brother not that long ago because I got a good Amazon deal on it, and it's a straight stitch type. And yeah, it's going to be the closest that you can get to your vintage machines
Right.
on a modern motor, basically. So I can imagine that probably felt comfortable for you.
Right. And it did. And the thing is, it was a little bit of a learning curve because, of course, the speed is more, and I have it all the way down to turtle. I mean, well, I'm a little bit up from turtle, but I started way down at turtle.
And it really does have a picture of a turtle.
It really does have the picture of the turtle, the bunny, which cracks me up,
It's like I need to go slow.
I love that they made it simple, to be able to look at and understand, right? And then
hang on one second. I got to interrupt. Renee would like to enter. She's in the waiting room. Renee, I've asked you a question on YouTube. What size are charm squares cut to? Kathy's getting a blank screen. Do you have another device you could connect to? Because it might just be an issue with Zoom, because we can see
really
you.
Dark. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very dark in there. It looks like you got all lights off except your phone.
And it's like above your head, like the camera's pointed above her head.
But yeah, if you could connect via computer or maybe an iPad or something, we can see you waving. I can definitely see you waving. I cannot hear you though, Kathy.
Okay.
And you are not on mute, so my guess is that you still have to connect to audio.
I did just hear an okay from her when.
Oh, did you?
I did too.
Okay.
But it was very faint, as is the picture.
It's like it's in the background, far in the background.
Once you figure out the technology, it's a lot easier to keep it going. We found that out. It took us
Yes.
what, 6 or 7 of these to figure out how to
Yeah.
do it correctly from a live streaming thing. And now I can do it in like 2 seconds and get it on. But it
So
took a minute
Catherine, what you're
to get to
doing,
that
just
point.
do it slower, and that way when you come up on the screen, we'll be able to see you. But
It
when you
also
do it, when she moves it, it's too fast.
it also takes more light than you think.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
if you could like turn the light on in your room.
My
That would
room is
probably be helpful.
fluorescent right now.
Yeah.
It hurts me to get this much light.
Yeah,
Okay.
Chantel is very much a soft light person, and I have daylight bulbs throughout my entire home. So
Yeah, we differ
That's
in
an
that.
ADHD.
She's very wrong about it, and I'm very right about it, but I accept her wrongness. So it's
all
okay.
good. You know what? These are not things that will, hinder a friendship. It's okay.
I mean, it could be
Chantel, I
politics,
think
but
that's
it's just light bulbs.
One
It
moment.
is just like
an ADHD
I
sensor
heard
thing. You
something.
don't like the big lights on.
She said, "One moment."
I think
Okay,
I
it's
want
Donna,
everything to look like it's candlelight pretty.
there's
Hey.
the pictures of the gnomes.
Oh, that's cute.
What do you think?
And that's Zoe holding them, but I just have her out of the screenshot.
Where are you
But
showing
that is
me?
what she sewed. That is what she did.
Wow, I'm impressed.
Yeah. So
All
I
right.
was
Oh, I hope
proud.
she comes and joins us one day.
You want
Well,
to join your Zoom?
she's
Sit down
back
there.
giving Farron a bath tonight, and I thought maybe she would this evening, but she has to work in the morning. She is a volleyball official, and so she has games early in the morning, and so I'm watching him for her so she doesn't have to drop him off in the morning. But maybe next week. She's got 1 month till the baby's due. So
No, I know.
All right.
Hey, Catherine, I did see you for a second. I'm wondering if your camera is covered in some way, the way
That
that you
could
have
be.
it seated.
I think it's also really dark in your room.
I mean, I saw it for a good moment. I'm wondering if the camera got there. There you
yeah.
are.
We see you! Yay! Now you just have to connect to audio and you'll be good. Renee, you are still in the waiting room. I've got a question for you over on the YouTube comments that you need to enter, just because we've had some delinquents trying to join the Zoom by posing as quilters. And I think I've seen your comments multiple weeks, but we're just going to make sure here. Make sure, go and tell me on the YouTube comments what size charm pack squares are cut to.
Sit down.
And if you answer that correctly, then we will admit you from the waiting room into the Zoom.
All right, y'all. I got a visitor here for a minute.
Do you?
So this is Dr. Donna. So there are 3 Donnas here.
That's right.
That's
So
right.
this is Dr. Donna. So Becca, do y'all know her? Gwendolyn, she knows
Yep.
you.
Yep.
She was on here a few minutes ago, and so this is Dr. Donna, and she come in. So we do a thing here. It's called Secret Sister. So like this year, we'll draw names for people that's going to be here next year, and we give them all kinds of gifts and stuff. And so she's been showing me stuff that her secret sisters made from her. So look at her tote bag that somebody made for her.
Look at my tote bag.
Okay.
Oh my
God.
that's so cute.
I want a secret sister.
All the lights are on.
Wow.
Sounds like a good deal.
It is.
She's been spoiled. She's gotten all kinds of stuff.
I'm gonna need a truck to get home.
U-Haul.
Hopefully you drove,
okay.
right?
So everybody
I like
does.
that you're coming live from retreat. Like we're getting all the insider knowledge so that we all are like, we got to go next year.
Yeah.
I can get
Well,
myself to Alabama somehow.
Yeah, but
All right.
this one
Actually,
is 15
Alabama, you can get to in a 1-day drive. I can tell you that from here.
Yeah. It took me. So it says 15-hour drive, and I made it in 16. So I did good. That was stopping and getting gas and eating and going potty.
I can
But
usually
I drive straight
get
through. I drive straight through.
I'm trying to think. When we go to Texas, typically we make it like to Texarkana on day 1 or Arkansas, somewhere there. All right,
Yeah.
Renee, I asked you a different question since you're newer to quilting and you got close. So I think you're a quilter, but we're gonna ask you one more. I just want you to tell me some places you shop at to buy fabric. And either, your local
whatever.
answer a few things.
Okay.
Not from here, LOL. Okay, so where are you buying it? Give me some names of places you shop at, and we'll let you in.
And I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get the gnome pattern and
It
some
can
of
be
my.
Oh, yeah, I
online
wanna
or
see it.
in store. Either of those are fine.
All right, hang on. I'll be back.
Go over there, that side.
I'll be back.
You'll be on the.
Let's see, what else has everybody else been working on this week? I've been folding fabric, like insane amounts of fabric this week. Because I
Chantal
thought I was
ended
going
up
to
on a
get new
side quest.
bookshelves. Yeah. So my shelves are even fuller than normal with their rainbowness. And they do look phenomenal, I'm not gonna lie, but I have more fabric than that. So yeah. I got a lot of fabric. It's decorative fabric.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
If you say it's okay, then I'm okay.
I'm good with that. Obviously, I have decorative fabric as well. It will
It's
be
a lot of
okay.
fabric. Yeah.
Dash fabric.
It's a lot of fabric. It
It is
looks
a fair
beautiful
amount.
though.
It does. It also is still
That's not
not
even
as
close
clean
to all
down
of it.
here as I would like. But all right.
So here's
I
the
need to
quilt.
focus
Shopped
on my
at Quilt
Halloween
Heaven.
stuff.
All right, we're gonna let you in. But I got my finger on the
Yes.
cutout button, just in case.
Mhm.
We had quite the adventure yesterday. Or last week.
Where was I? Is that when I left, or was that like when I
No, you were there.
I disappeared for I was not with it last week though. I left early and I don't normally do that.
Hey, Dawn, I think you are on mute. Your audio is muted.
Don't worry, we've done it a million times ourselves.
Yes, I
Like,
did it
why don't
today.
they understand what I'm saying? Oh, it's a me problem. With it last week though.
Kathy, you're doing
I left
good.
early.
We can see you.
Can you hear me though?
I can hear you. Yes,
No.
I can hear you.
We can hear
Can
you.
you?
I heard you,
Alright,
yeah.
and we got Renee on. I
Here.
Is
remember
that how you
Renee.
say it?
You were moving. Did you get moved?
Don't worry, we've done
Hold on.
it ourselves.
Am I?
Yes, I did it.
Why don't we gotta mute the YouTube. The mute.
Oh yeah, if you are on the
Oh, no.
Zoom, mute YouTube. Otherwise, there will be an echo. And that will be annoying for you. And other folks.
Oh, no.
I remember how you say it. You're moving. Did you get
Oh my gosh.
There we go.
Like deja vu.
I know, right?
There's a
Ugh.
lag.
There we go.
There we go.
Oh my.
I know.
All right,
There's a
Shan-
learning curve every time. It's
There
fine.
is. You'll get there. It's all good.
Chantel, here's the quilt. Or who was it? Was it you, Stephanie, or
Yeah, I
Chantel?
wanted to see the. Oh. Oh, that's
Oh,
cute.
that's cute.
I think that is when I went off for a little while to make sure like there were things going on upstairs. Is last week the time with the dog? Or was that
yeah.
2 weeks ago?
No, that was 2 weeks ago.
All right, here's some blocks. I'll show you.
You need to take like some
super
migraine meds or
cute.
something.
This one is my new favorite.
Oh, we have a child.
Oh, we do have a child.
Oh,
I'm sorry. We have a gnome and we have a child all at once. Does somebody have a cat too? My gosh, too many things.
Did she get a haircut? Oh no, this is Gwendolyn. I was thinking, I was looking at
Here's
Stephanie
one of the
2.0.
houses.
I was like, the
Although
hair's short.
Oh,
Dawn,
look at
I'm
that.
about.
Cute,
Oh,
Donna.
that's so cute.
But the
Dawn,
embroidery,
I'm about to click
it's like an
ask
embroidery
unmute.
file, so I don't have to embroider it. I just put the USB in and load the design. I love it. Here's the little One more. Here's the little school teacher.
Oh,
The September one. See your little ruler?
oh
That's
my!
really
Are
good.
you?
In her apple. In her apple. In her
Are you
hand.
cutting everything to size first?
No, these are all laser. They're all pre-fused, laser
Oh,
cut, and then I bought the embroidery file extra, and so I just put it stitches a placement
Oh,
stitch,
that's
I
cute.
put it down, and then it embroiders. Yeah,
that's slick. That's every quilter's dream right there.
it's very
That's awesome.
it's very
Get
fun.
right
But
to the fun part.
I have 7 more to go out of, I don't know how many there are, 30 probably,
30.
23.
Holy moly.
There must be more than that because I've got blocks 24 and 25 here, but they could be like, you're not doing them like 1, 2, 3, and then 3, 4, 5. You get you know each you do like a whatever's in the box, so it might be 1 and 2 and 18 might be in that box, that particular month. When I say box, it's a month that you get, but I have them all, and I've had them for a few years. And I just need to get them all done. Let's
I know
see.
you went through the process of this, but do you mind just because new crowd going through? So it came as a pre-cut, like laser cut kit, but then you download the embroidery for it.
You have to pay. So everybody doesn't get the embroidery. You have to pay extra if you want the embroidery files. But it
Right.
will do. So any machine will, it has, HUS and PES, and like mine uses the VP3 format or whatever. But there's 34. So what it was a monthly. It was like a
Okay.
block of the month. And then so the first box had block 1, block 2, and block 8 in it. And so it was actually 2 trees and then a gnome. And then the second box had a house in it and it had a gnome in it. And those were blocks 4 and 5. So sometimes they were kind of, kind of in order, but not really. Like the next box 3 had block 6, block 7, and block 25. So, it just, they were kind of random the way they came in. But I waited until I got them all before I started. So, and then I worked at it at retreat in August last year, and it's like, I need to get that thing out. So I brought it here. And so I think if I can stick with it, I can get these other 7 done. And then when I get home, then I can make all the flying geese, and then that will be ready to put together. It'll be ready to go. But it's so fun, right? Because it's already, it's not
kind of plug and play a little bit.
Yeah, well, you don't have to put, cut a square.
You get to the good stuff.
Yeah, you put it on there, and then it, does a tack down. Then you got to trim that off, and then it does the actual stitching. No, this one it puts a placement stitch. You put your stuff on, and then it embroiders it. It's fun. I'd
love to figure that out. I have embroidery software, and I have no idea how to use it.
Hey, go on to Power Tools with Thread. Becky Thompson. She does
That's right. You told me that last week. I'm going to write it down this time.
She has actually trademarked it and called it Snapplique. And what she's saying, it's like applique in a snap. But you'll need a Brother scan and cut, and then you can Canvas Workspace is also Brother, but it's totally free for anybody. You don't have to have a Brother machine. And so you'll use your scan and cut to scan the shapes. Then you'll take them into the Brother Workspace and arrange them and however you want.
What was the Brother thing again?
Brother scan and cut.
What is that exactly?
It's
is it just a software?
No, it's a cutting machine.
What if you have a Cricut? Can you bring an SVG into a Cricut to do it, or
no? You're going to need a scan and cut, and then you take that into Canvas Workspace. That's a free program for anybody online. Okay. You can use it, and that's where you would arrange it how you wanted, and then you would take that into your embroidery software and change it into an embroidery and set it up, whether you wanted a satin stitch or blanket stitch or whatever. Yeah. But if you know how to use your software, but she go into her thing and just, her name's Becky Thompson, but it's Power Tools with Thread, and just do a search for Snapplique, SNAPPLIQUE. Plique, I think is how it's spelled. I'm not sure on that one. But
I spent at least
it
15
will show
minutes this week trying to remember what that word was that was a play on applique or embroidery or whatever. Just
Well,
like
that's
mindless minutes when, I should have been doing, probably when I was driving. Like, what was that thing she called that thing? The thing with the thing?
well, it took me a while, but she pretty much, and she
Applique.
has a live Monday through Friday from 7 to 8 a.m. Central Time.
Okay.
And she's here in Texas. Well, I'm not here in Texas, but I'm from Texas. Anyway, she's in Texas like me. I'm in Alabama right now. But anyway, but yeah, she goes through, she'll talk about it all the time. Right now, she's doing some Lori Holt stuff. She was doing that, how to build a scarecrow. And she changed and converted all of that so she could put it into and do it embroidery.
That's
So
I'm
it's
curious about what this brother scan and cut thing is because I love a
It's
new
a machine.
technology.
It's a machine. It's a machine. It's like a Cricut, but it's a lot. It does a lot more. And like if you have a brother machine, you can send your designs and things from your scan and cut over to your embroidery machine.
Well, I know people who have brother machines that do embroidery are like very loyal to their embroidery machines.
But
They
see,
love those.
I have a brother, and then I also have a Husqvarna Viking. Right now, I brought my Husqvarna Viking, the Epic 2, because that's what I'm more familiar with right now as far as embroidery, because I just got the brother back in November. So I've been using it a lot to sew with.
Yeah.
But I've only done a little bit of embroidery, and I had already started this embroidery on the Epic. It's like, I'm going to stick with the Epic 2, right, and finish it out. Like I said, out of 32 blocks, I have 7 more to go. So I'm doing pretty good.
You are doing good. That's awesome.
I'm almost there. I'm excited to finish, Another finish.
On YouTube, Jen Loves to Quilt says, like Cricut, you can bring the SVG into it. So it sounds like if you already have some SVG files you want to work with Chantel, you can.
Yeah, but you have to convert
them.
You have to be able to convert them to embroidery.
I
Okay.
think.
Well, then you
I
should
think
be able to
she
do
has
that in
something on
Canvas
that- on her
Workspace.
channel about that.
Well, you might could. I don't know. I think she when Becky talks about it a lot, she talks about the ease and how easy.
Yeah.
So she uses what she likes, and like for me, I use the Floriani software. She uses Embrilliance, and
I use Embrilliance. Well, I say I use
Charges
Embrilliance.
too.
I had Embrilliance. I don't use it because
Well,
I just
hey,
I will use it.
You won't have to figure it out. She goes through step by step to show you how to do that. You don't.
She's
have to
the
figure it out.
Stephanie of this.
She shows
That's
it
what I
all.
like to hear.
Yeah, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. She's already done it. Yeah.
There
I
you
love
go.
when people get the wheel for me and I just ride it down the hill. That's perfect.
Step by step is always good.
Write it
I
down.
spent so
Yeah.
much time editing tutorials.
I love
this
learning
week.
from other people's mistakes. It makes it so much easier on me.
Well, yeah, and it's like, some people they want to do everything themselves, and that's fine. But it's like, hey, if
Like every husband.
if you're doing this to save time, why would you want to go and redo it all? Like, just she'll show you how to do it all.
I love that. I'm gonna look that up this week. That's on my goals then.
It's all falling down. Yeah.
I
And she's
have
really,
to share.
she's really good. She'll go to guilds, like, and kind of show and teach about it. And she goes all over the place.
What do you have, Steph? What's that?
This is my first tiny little square sawtooth star that is going to be surrounded by log cabin strips. I've got 2 more sizes to go up, so that'll be fun.
And you have to have them by color order, right?
The log cabin strips, yes. So I have those here. I have my order decided. So as you get into bigger log cabin strips, it's gonna go like across.
Those are
Which
gorgeous.
is really fun.
Is that
This
the one
is a yes. Well, it's the
I can't remember called, with the
what did I
face?
call it? Star sign? Star sign is what I called it.
Star sign.
But I'm
it's the one
making-
Gwendolyn and I are like crushing on and want to do.
Yeah.
So
We've
what
been
this
waiting for you to do.
this
Sorry,
one
we're all so
has
excited.
Yeah.
this one has a panel in the center, so I don't have to make as many stars. and there is a star like space theme panel. So this is going to be in my next book, which I have an official title of now. It's going to be, I forgot
Don't
it.
forget the name of your title.
Something like Panel Workshop, because it's like playing on Fat Quarter Workshop, which was my book that is still like a bestseller on Amazon. But yeah, I forgot it. I'll remember it. I've been editing a lot of videos
like
this week
panel
too.
play workshop.
Something like that. I don't remember. You'd be surprised how many decisions are not mine to make when you're doing a book. It's just like, this is what we're going to call it. I'm like, okay, fine. You know more about this than I do. I'm good with that. But
so what's that fabric line, Stephanie?
this one is Timeless Treasures.
Is it batik?
And it is not batik. I think it should be out now. It's called Cosmos by Chonga. I think it's Wang is her last name. It's
Is that like moon and
H-W-A-N-G.
stars on there?
It is
Oh,
Moon
yeah.
and Stars. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
really gorgeous. Here, let me pull it
Don't
up.
burn yourself on that iron.
I know, I've done that before. This is
I know.
what
Don't
I'm
do
working
it
on.
again. We don't
I've
want
got
to see
one
that.
right here.
But
Oh
so
my
it's
gosh,
really
that's so
fun.
pretty.
Oh, those are pretty. I love that.
And then
I
my
love those
panel,
things.
Two of my favorite things.
I
Who's
showed
the
you guys the panel
manufacturer?
like 2 weeks
No,
ago.
no,
This
no,
is
that
Timeless
thing is
Treasures.
good.
Timeless Treasures. Okay.
And then this is the panel that'll be in the center.
Oh, that's very
pretty.
So I think
Done.
this is in stores now or will be soon because I got an advance on this like last winter.
And what did
Everybody
you
hoard
say
it
it was?
now.
Star and what? Stars and
It is called Cosmos from Timeless
Cosmos.
Treasures.
Okay.
And
Dawn,
Star
can you
Sign
guys
was
hear
the
me now?
original pattern it was based
Was the
on.
original pattern, yeah.
So y'all, you remember
So
I was
here's
doing
block number
go
2.
ahead. Oh,
This
that's
one's a
pretty.
little bit bigger
Ooh.
size.
Those
Oh.
look good together.
Oh, pretty.
So you're
It'll be
fussy
fun.
cutting. You're fussy cutting all your centers.
I
or just
did
some of it?
not. This was a happy
Just one?
accident.
Well,
is
that
what
was
this
that was a perfect one. Look
Oh,
like.
Yes.
Take it as a design choice. I did that.
Here's
Yes.
this one. Also happy accident. But it works.
Yeah. So my quilt that I did, the ugly quilt, that I was telling you about the challenge, I
Yes.
won.
No
won.
way.
I turned it in Sunday
Nice.
to a lady because it was at our guild meeting was yesterday, right? And I wasn't there because I traveled here Wednesday. And so there were supposed to be like 14 different people that had signed up to do it, and there were only 6 of us. But I'll show you the quilt. So there was my finished quilt.
It turned out so good.
Yeah.
That is so fun.
And then
That's
here's
the one you were working on last week, right?
yeah.
Oh, she's
and
been working
here-
on it for several weeks here.
here's one of them that somebody did. They just had one
Oh,
big
that's
long
cool.
strip of the challenge fabric. There was one. And
Oh,
the
that's
next
cool too.
the next one here, yeah, very colorful. I would have voted for this one. Look at its little chicks.
Oh, and the eggs.
Aw.
Yeah, and the
That
eggs
is
are like
adorable.
I don't know
Yeah,
why
she
they
did-
call those ugly quilts. None of those are ugly.
Well, it's the
what did
ugly fabric. It's the bargain
here's-
fabric.
Here's how it started. They started with, at that time, was panels that didn't sell well, and they called them ugly. To make an ugly quilt, it was called an ugly quilt challenge. But then my guild, they did the quilt shop did it for probably, I think they've done it 3 or 4 years. They have 2 shop hops. You pay $3 for the panel, and now they've changed it into $5 for a yard of fabric. Then you take that in March and you bring it back completed, ready to hang at the shop hop in the fall, and then the customers vote. So one of the ladies that works in that shop, she's a member of our guild, so we did it as a guild, and it was just a quilt challenge. And then here's one. She actually got a pineapple. I don't know if you can see it. She's got
Oh,
a
I think
pineapple.
that's cute.
I
Like a
liked them all.
wonky 9-patch.
I liked them all. Here's one. It's actual big pineapple.
Oh, that's wonderful.
But they had to be 40 by 40, and yeah. But I sent her.
Let's see yours one more time.
I asked her. I said, how did the guild meeting go? And she said, you won. So I get all the notions and all the stuff that people turned in
Yes.
when they got the
Is this your
fabric.
first time winning it?
Well, this is the first time they've done it.
Oh, I thought you had done it with their shop before, though.
I've done it with the shop. This was for our guild.
Oh,
This
All right,
nice.
wasn't-
I've got to
Yeah, it wasn't-
pop in
she
here
worked-
real
she
quick.
worked
Jen loves to quilt has entered the waiting room. So Jen, you have a question on YouTube in the comment section. You have to answer and we will let you in. This is just, I assume you're a quilter based on your name, but people, you never know. We need you to
We've
answer this
assumed
question.
wrong before.
We have. So we need to know what ingredients are in a quilt sandwich. And if you answer correctly, all right, we have a correct answer. We're going to let you in. And we also have April Taylor from Australia. Hello, April.
Getting popular.
We are
Oh,
today, I
good.
guess.
There's Jen. Jen's quilt.
Yep.
I like to
Jen
see the
Jen is
loves
party.
obviously a
quilt.
quilter.
So she's connecting to audio.
We lost her.
What I was
There you are.
what I was trying to show you guys a little while ago, when I was still all kind of weirded up, but I turned my YouTube off and then I
There you
found
go. We
the
figured it out.
Zoom hiding behind all this other stuff. Anyway, I finally found it. But anyway, this week I finished my very first free motioning, like the whole quilt. Been practicing for a while. I did a quilt last year with rulers. And it was a large wall hanging. And this one is a very small, it's kind of a lap size. But I did the whole
Doesn't want to work.
meander, free motion, the whole
Congratulations.
thing.
See you going around with your hands. It's like, yep, that's how you do it.
Oh my gosh, it was a lot more tiring than I imagined.
Yeah, how are
And
your shoulders? Do your shoulders
well,
hurt?
I
'Cause
do.
mine did after.
Yeah, I work out a little bit anyway. I've been really good with my yoga for a couple of months.
Oh, then
But
you're probably.
just the energy, I think the mental energy too. I was thinking,
Yes.
oh, I was practicing and it's like, oh, this was like, oh, I can do this. And then it's like, man, I should be done already. And then 3 days later, it's like, well, I guess I'll go do another little patch on it. But it's
That
done.
is very
And
true.
Yes, very
um,
much.
it was a mystery quilt from Guild, and I got to, show it with everybody else right on deadline. And so that felt really good. And 3 days
Stephanie
later,
and I
to
have
show?
both.
Do you have it to show, Dawn?
yeah, I held it up a little while ago. But
Oh, let's see.
so this
Oh, it looks
thing
big.
is all half square triangles.
Oh, it's
Oh,
cute.
Yeah.
Very pretty.
I like that secondary
So
pattern.
it was a piecing nightmare, but it was really fun. And then yeah, so I used an old blanket and an old bed sheet for the backing because it's I'm donating it to an organization. They're going to raffle it, so I wanted to make sure that it was cozy. So anyway,
Oh,
but
yeah.
yeah, that's the whole meander thing.
You did
You
great.
did great. That's really tight too.
And
You
I
definitely put a lot of
learned
detail in there.
I learned a lot about. Well, I had a whole bunch of these. I had this on my drawing board, so probably a year, and it's a friendship star quilt. So the whole quilt is going to be half square triangles, the whole thing. So doing this, I realized that I will only open seam press because the intersections, I did three disappearing nine patch over this last year. And I was so super careful about, getting all the seams to be pressed, and once you cut them and then you turn them, then
They
you've got
go.
all these bulky intersections and then these half square triangles too. Just too many bulky intersections and trying to learn to quilt it and just practicing of it.
Yeah, you need it to be smooth, right? So that you can get the
Yeah.
feel of it and you don't have it
So
all
I'm
lumpy.
only gonna be I just learned about Lori Holt. I've been watching her a little bit these last couple of weeks. And she's like,
She's fun to watch.
open press seams. And that's like, me too.
I
I'm never gonna do
switched
sides.
I switched to open seam when I started quilting. And I do teach beginners, if you're doing a simple pattern, to press to the side because I think that that's easier to grasp than open. But when you get better, like you can see how good all of these points are. And the reason is because everything is pressed open on the back.
Yeah.
And it's super flat. Like this
It
is
takes
a
longer,
very
but
flat
it
block.
looks nice. Yeah.
It
I
looks
don't
so much
care.
nicer.
I mean, I don't care. You know, yeah, I'll take the time, but I'd rather have it, you know, take the time and do one more chore
Hmm.
to, you know, have it. Because I mean, the quilts that I made, you know, 20, 30 years ago or whatever, they were just drag blankets. They were just snuggle for the kids, you know, whatever. And now it's like, I mean, it's still, I'm making them for my grandkids and whatnot, but, you know, even the top part, you can feel it feels, lumpy, you know, from all
Mhm.
those bumpy intersections.
I
And
agree. I think that you pay for your own sins when you have to quilt your own quilts. And so
you,
you kind of like you have to, yeah, you press them all to the side and you didn't take the time, and then you have to try to quilt through those, and you're like, oh man, I should have.
And you will have quilt police and purists who learn to press the seams to the side so you can't do it. If you long arm it and you stitch in the
I go
ditch,
back and
like that's
forth.
gonna be a problem. But like first of all, if you're quilting it and I do this all the time, if you're stitching right up to that seam, there is no ditch. You're not going to stitch in it. And so what I do is I stitch next to it. And I've stitched next to it on both sides of it really tightly there. I've accidentally ended up on the seam many times. I have never had a problem where those seams are not holding up with time and they wash fine and they wear fine. And it just actually gives you more ability when you go to quilt because you can get right into those points because it isn't so bulky. And so it really is amazing. And as long as you're using good batting, you're fine. You know,
yeah.
it's
Well, the
not going
one
to be
lady that
puffing through stuff.
I mentioned to her, you know, what the problem I was having, it was a friend at Guild. And, you know, I told her my experience and this, you know, I said, I'm only going to be pressing open from now. And she's like, oh, last time, you know, when I tried that, then I had my seams popping open. And I'm like, oh, give
Every
me a break.
English paper piece quilt ever is an open seam. And as an English
Right.
paper piecing person, I can tell you right now that it boggles
Per-
my mind that everybody says
Personal
that when
preference.
up
Yeah.
until the sewing machine was invented, basically every seam was open.
Well, and all
Right.
garment seams are pressed open, like
Exactly.
all of them. Like,
Well, what I
Yes, they
did on
are.
my disappearing nine patch is I did a decorative stitch on the ditch and I went every line um through the whole thing. And now I'm going back and doing in the squares. But
now,
I do press to the sides though more than I want to admit. I'm a bit of my own sinner because I'm lazy.
I
It's just
will,
me being lazy.
It
I
does take
don't
a lot of time to press them open. It
Yes.
does.
I don't have anything ready to go right now where I can show you this, but I do, when the quilt top is all together, stitch an 1/8 inch seam, like stay stitch seam, so that it's in between where the edges of that will be visible are and the edge of your quilt. And that will secure everything together so that it doesn't like shift as you're like loading it on and working on it and quilting it.
and you
And
have
it
to press to the
also
side because you can't open. Yeah.
well, it also keeps these seams from popping open when you're working on it or you're just taking your time. And so that line of stitching, just 1/8 of an inch from the edge, and I don't change
Forces
my
it.
stitch length or anything. I'm not like using a basting stitch. It's literally just a
Stephanie,
stay stitch like you would do on a neckline.
do you mean
Okay.
like for, you don't mean for each block, you mean for the overall
I
quilt?
mean for the overall quilt.
What
Once I
did
get
you
it,
call that before? You had a
I
name
call
for that.
it well, some people call it the victory lap. Um,
Victory lap.
there's that. But also, it's just a stay stitch, and you want to do it at 1/8 of an
Yes.
inch.
I've heard it as
I
stay stitch.
remember
Yeah.
you calling it a victory lap, and I liked
Yeah.
that because it made it sound like less of a chore and more like a, she is the
Woohoo, I
champion, my
won.
friend. Like,
Well, and
yes,
it
I
makes
did
it like so much better. Like if it's going to be a little bit until you get to quilting your top, it's going to keep it from getting warped. And then especially if you're putting it on a long arm and there's going to be some tension on that to keep it straight, it helps keep it nice and square. So you don't have like, sometimes you get to the bottom and your
Yeah.
bottom edge is like super stretched out and you're like, how did I do this? I was so careful when I pinned it.
Yeah.
Like
I recently
this,
popped the seam on the
Yeah.
sides because I didn't do
Mhm.
that
yeah.
when I was on my long arm. And it was
And
me
then you
like
just-
trying to wedge it back together and kind of like stitch it with the long arm because I was being far too lazy to actually like fix it for real. But it makes sense. Yes.
And then you just don't have to
Okay.
worry about the seams popping open on like the sides or bottom as you're working with it either. So I
I
always do
have
that.
not seen you guys in a month.
Oh my
I
gosh.
know,
I've been
it's
busy.
been a minute. What are you working on? Everyone's kind of said what they're working on.
I
What are you
am
up to?
proud to announce I have finished 155 blocks for my king size quilt.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my goodness.
That's a
Wow.
lot.
How did the rainbow friends go over?
Good for you.
Oh my goodness. I
I know,
brought
I've
it.
been like wanting to know about this.
He was seatbelted in the car when he showed up. He was so my nephew, when I pulled up, he was in the driveway. And like I said, he's the same size as he is, and he's 120 pounds and almost 4 feet tall at 6.
You made
So-
purple, right?
No, I made
Wow.
blue.
Blue.
I made blue, and I seatbelted him in the car. So when I showed up, we had to take him out of the car like a child.
Oh my gosh,
He
that
was so excited.
probably just made his life. I'm not gonna lie. Like I've kind of had that in the back of my mind that that's gonna be something I'm gonna have to make now.
And the other thing I've
Because,
decided is I like miniature quilts. Do you see my pinwheel?
Oh
See how
my
big it is?
goodness.
Oh my gosh.
Love tiny blocks.
Pressed
Did you
open seams
reduce
too, right?
that seam
Wow.
allowance?
Yep. So I was supposed to have made a 2-inch pinwheel and I missed it by a whole inch. So it is a 1-inch pinwheel.
oh my gosh.
That's so cute.
That's
Now you
Yeah.
just gotta
Well,
make
we
like
have a
100
thing for
more and make
dolls
you
that would
around
make me
here.
lose my mind. But
There.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
you can
so
see that one
cute.
better.
Oh my goodness.
It's so
Yeah,
tiny.
and
Making
mine is
mini
not as
quilts for
small as
rainbow
yours.
friends now.
But I did a mini this week too. I did a mini Dresden.
Oh,
Nice.
that's
No
cute.
way.
oh,
Hey y'all,
It's
I'm
not
gonna,
as
I'm
small
gonna,
as
I'm gonna
yours,
mute
though.
myself and I'm gonna go back into my retreat and just kind of watch
Seriously?
y'all off to the side.
Oh,
Donna,
that's
have
good,
Good.
fun.
Donna.
Enjoy.
Yeah,
Say
I
hi.
thought about just taking you around, but it's pretty loud in there.
Maybe in
It's
a
all
little
good.
while. Once we get to the 11:15 time, usually
All
it's
right.
like
All right.
whatever.
Yeah, a lot of them will go to bed by then. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I'll
then they
mute,
can
but I'll
party
stay
with
on.
us if they're still there.
Okay.
But Jen, what are you using your small ones for? Mine's going to be the top of a pin cushion.
Well, okay, so I made the snapshots quilts by that quarter shop, and there was a bike with 125 cuts in one block, and
Oh my god.
it had pinwheels coming out of the basket on the bike, and those pinwheels were supposed to be 2 inches, and I made them too small, so I have extra pinwheels. I'm actually going to put some UV acrylic on it and turn them into earrings.
Oh, very
That's
Oh,
a
that'd be
great
cute.
idea.
Very
good
cute.
idea.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be really fun.
I love that.
Gwendolyn, I
Yeah.
have some Dresdens in the works that are super scrappy like that.
Oh, don't you love
They're
Dresden?
more well, and I'm what I had in my mind was 3 different sizes, but all kind of overlapping. And to look orange centers, they're all gonna have orange centers, so they look like flowers. But
Oh, beautiful.
but they're all gonna be it's we'll see. I have a prototype around here somewhere, but
So is it going to be a wall hanging or a quilt?
oh no, it's gonna be a bed quilt
Oh, good.
for very crazy little girl who
Oh,
needs a really crazy quilt. Yeah.
and Dresden
That
flowers
sounds
are
fun.
perfect for little girls for sure.
Yeah.
I really want to do a kaleidoscope as my next quilt.
That could be fun.
Oh, those are cool. I've seen those. Those are, yeah, fabulous.
I
They're right
bought
up
a
my
whole bunch
alley.
of kaleidoscope books when I was in Belgium and drug them all the way
Nice.
back to the States.
I did say, are you sure you want these?
Chantel,
Yes,
Oh, that's funny.
I love it.
He's so big.
Oh my God.
well, like I said, my nephew is 120 pounds and 4 feet tall, and we took 2 yards, laid it on the ground, and traced him in it, and then sewed it together.
We
Very
took the
cool.
chalk
That's so
line,
funny.
basically. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
he's
may or
asking
may
for orange
not.
and blue, and
When I was in 5th grade, we made paper mache mummies, and I was the outline for it. And
nice.
I brought that thing home. It was 3D. It sat in my room for a very, very long time.
Wait, you don't
And
have it anymore?
obviously not. I think I made my parents save it for a little while, and then finally it disappeared.
Sorry,
But
falling
It
it's
apart.
like
disappeared.
I'm
Curious.
just like if my daughter this week did a Harry Potter camp, they can't call it a Harry Potter camp because of copyright, but it was basically a Harry Potter camp. So they
A magical
dissected
place. Yeah.
owl pellets because of headwing. That was the
Ew.
connection, which is owl barf of what they barf up that they can't digest. And she found multiple skulls and bones, and she brought those home. And I said to her, Angela,
Oh,
that's really cool, but I would prefer you not keep those. And she's like, I can put them in my room. I'm like, no, they're going to end up on the ground. And then our dogs are going to eat them. And then we're going to have a big vet bill
oh
because
man.
they swallowed some sort of animal skull. They needed to go
Oh
in
my
the
gosh.
trash. And she's
My
like, okay.
dog, yeah. In the saga of Cubby, which 2 weeks ago I had to do a special procedure to remove
Remove a
items
sock.
during this show. Yes. And who knows what it was last week, but this week he broke the garbage can because I put a chicken bone in there.
Oh, no.
Did he
And
get the chicken bone?
oh, he got the chicken
Oh,
bone and he broke
yes.
the garbage can. He is trying really hard to be my husband's least favorite creature in the world while being my favorite. So, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So I understand the whole like, we can't have extra, like, random bones in our house
Yes.
because,
Random rodent bones. This is
yeah,
not
it's just
something we can
not
keep.
going to work out. Like, it was in the bottom of the, he just rammed himself into the side of the garbage, knowing he didn't know how. We had to get a new garbage can not that long ago because he knew how to stick his head into the one. And so we got a
Nobody
new
wants to
garbage
see your
can
butt.
and it was working. But, then he finally decided, no, this was worth like the Hulk smash. And he took that garbage can out,
Wow.
broke the
One
entire
time,
thing.
we had just come back from my parents at Christmas
Seriously.
time, and we had a
Oh, the
giant
kitties,
tub
we
of
missed them.
Christmas cookies. Giant tub. And
I'm being
the
attacked.
dogs ate them all. And
The
I
ent-
had to take them to get their stomachs pumped because of all of the sugar that was in their system.
Oh no.
And
Like, oh my gosh, guys.
Tell me this
You're
was
in
in
so
Rock
much trouble.
Island that you had to get their stomach
Oh,
pumped,
yeah,
because I feel like
definitely.
that's just such a Rock Island thing.
All right, Tammy's asking, it's her first time here. Do all of you have your own channels? I think I'm the only one with my channel, but you guys pop in the YouTube comments where they can find you on the socials, like Instagram and
You know where to
wherever.
put me.
I know. Chantel's, I can put Chantel in there.
I'm thinking about toying with this YouTube thing, and
yeah,
it's kind of scary for me, but so I think I found somebody that I'm going to send Penny to for daycare. And if I send her to
Really?
daycare, then I officially am ready to
Do you work things?
launch whatever it is that I am launching. Now, if
Mm,
anybody has
I
any
can figure that
ideas
out.
about what I'm going to do with my life, this is the place to ask, right? It's the internet. So clearly,
You're going to get lots of ideas, and it's like parenting advice. Some of it's good and some of it's a hot mess. But
Right?
if the rest of you guys, if you want to pop over into the YouTube comments and let them know where you can find them, I'm at Quilt Addicts Anonymous all over the place. Instagram, Facebook,
Found you on
YouTube, obviously.
Instagram today or
Yep.
yesterday.
And
So,
TikTok, although I haven't updated that lately. Basically, I've had the instructions to fix a YouTube delivery issue up on my computer for about 3 weeks. And as soon as I spend the time to fix that, then I can start emailing people again and being on the socials again.
Hey, maybe that could be my first job.
You want to fix my thing?
Yeah, no, it can't happen for 4 more weeks though, because apparently that's when Penny starts. So
It's all good. Hopefully, I will actually do it before then.
I hope so
But
too.
Well, when you start your YouTube, just remember it's easier to do things you like rather than things you have to do.
Yeah.
exactly. I can attest to that.
I feel like I just spin everything with humor and I would be happy. So, this is a worthless tutorial about how not to make half square triangles. That would be
I
like
did.
my kind of content right there.
I did teach Courtney, our former video editor, to edit in the height of COVID when you couldn't be in person via Zoom. So, we still have those video
I know some
tutorials
people.
in the Dropbox actually that you could watch.
Nice. I don't have the official Dropbox. When I get the official Dropbox,
I have extra licenses.
I
Get
need
you
it.
one.
I need it.
Yes.
For those 700 quilt patterns I happen to own. Because I'm going to do all of those in my free time.
Liz Boz is just catching alive. She caught the name and realized she's seen your emails for a few years. You have, not lately, because I have to fix email deliverability, and then I'll be back. But mostly,
Get the kids back in school.
oh my God, this week was awful. Not like awful from like a mothering perspective, although they do drive you nuts. It's not, they're just
It was
exhausting.
something
Children
was
are
driving.
exhausting. But so my kid, the Harry Potter camp was in West Davenport, which is like a 20-minute drive if you hit the lights right and there isn't flooding, which there is right now all up and down the Mississippi River. So I've got to travel from my Illinois town to the Iowa town, and that's like 20 minutes. But then I also have a kid in camp over on the Illinois side of the river who can be there pretty much all day. And I pretty much have come to loathe any camp that's from like 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. because if that's the case, you cannot work an 8-hour day. You just can't do it. It does not work. So I worked like from libraries and the garden center one day. It's just like I got, I think, 26 hours of work done. I really needed to get 40. And I've got a video tutorial that's taking forever to edit on. Actually, I have it done. I can show you guys. This bag, this is a
Ooh,
I love it.
Vera Bradley dupe. And it's really awesome and cool and has lots of pockets. And we did.
I hope it's a gift for somebody I know, me.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I might keep this one. It was
Darn.
sure a lot of work, but
I
it's got
tried.
a recessed zipper. So there's actually like binding on the top, so you don't have to like turn the whole bag inside out. And then there's a bunch of pockets on the inside. So basically, I completely
Nice.
duped
Yeah.
a Vera Bradley bag. The pattern is going to be free. And I need to get it done for Free Spirit like 2 weeks ago. But it is taking forever to edit. I think I texted Chantel and I was like, I got through 30 minutes of raw video and it took me 3 hours to do that. And I
It's
filmed
like 6
for
hours
like,
of video.
there's 6 hours of video. So it's going to be a minute.
Yeah.
And then I have like work to do. I just can't like do it. We have Adam Salmon is in the waiting room. We need a question for
Wait,
Adam.
haven't we had Adam before?
I think we
Yeah.
have, and I think we have not. I don't remember. We're gonna ask you a question, Adam. Was that okay, Adam? Sorry, buddy. We had to boot you out one time, so we're going to keep you out, unfortunately. All right. So where are we at? I'm getting looks from everybody else. I was pretty sure that was a person, but I wasn't totally sure on that. Tammy on YouTube would like to see what we are all working on. We kind of have done this a couple times, but we probably have people who are just joining. So do you guys want to do like a quick summary of what everyone's doing?
What I'm
Yeah, I'd like
actually
to see what
working
everybody's
on.
actually working on right now. I'm just folding fabric. So my week consisted of trying to get my fabric wall in order, which does look pretty snazzy, but it is full. I'm not really sure where I'm supposed to put everything else.
I've gotten really good at chain stitching,
Oh, you have. You have like an entire lay of trained
and
chain stitching.
these are in 3 pieces. And I don't know if the light looks funny, but so these are just rows, and then it's actually this, or it will be when it grows up. Can you see this, or should I bring it closer?
Oh no, you're good, I think. I like how you
Okay,
said that though, when it grows up.
I know, right?
It's a little guy
So,
now, but when it's a big guy.
but on this piece, on this 9 patch, the top 3 and the bottom 3 are exactly the same. I just have to flip them. So I just kept, doing these 2 rows. And then the next time I get to my machine, I'll be doing the center section. So I have like bunches of them.
Oh
After
my
I cut them
gosh.
all up, I just sat and it was just like, phew, phew, phew. I just recently got a new Gnome HD straight stitch, and
Uh-huh.
that thing is just, oh my gosh, it's like, I don't know,
I have
some
work.
fancy car, and so I'm pressing
I
tonight.
have one of
I'm
the
sitting.
industrial Janome straight stitches at work, or no, it's a Juki, but the industrial straight stitch, and oh my gosh, it's fabulous. I
Unbelievable.
want one
I
for
just
home.
love it. Yep. Um, so yeah, my brother straight stitch finally died. I've had it for like 30 years. I used it a whole lot, but anyway, I was able to get a new one a few months ago. So that's what I'm actually working on right now. I'm open pressing these little things and these little things.
I am working on quilts for my next book. This one is going to combine one of my previous patterns, Star Sign, with so there'll be log cabin strips going around this in like a fade from like purple to really dark blue. And then it all goes around a panel. So I'm trying to get this one done, like the top by like early Monday, if possible. Preferably Sunday would be great. That would be ideal. But I didn't get as much done in the evenings as I wanted this week because I was just tired from being a mom taxi, which is basically a part-time job. So it's tiring. I love the children, but they sometimes exhaust me.
They're exhausting.
Yeah.
Sure.
What else is everyone doing?
Well, I'm just
I
working on
am
fabric.
working on
Go ahead. Go ahead.
me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, Stephanie 2.0.
I am working on a million bowl cozies that I am sewing for my aunt.
A million.
I seriously, like, I have 3 tote bags this size of paired
Holy
10-inch
cow.
squares.
Oh my gosh.
Not even paired. Of 10-inch squares, some that to pair and put together. Like 3 of these.
Wait, is she like selling them?
Yes. Yeah. She and my mom do a lot of craft shows and vendor booths, and they do a lot of, like, they sell a lot of bowl cozies, they sell pillowcases, aprons, like all like homey type stuff.
Cool.
some of it they make, some of it they find online from other vendors who are like retiring, or they're selling off their inventory, so they can get them for really cheap and then resell them. But they go for like tractor type prints, like
This must be really fun for you. Sorry.
it's no, it's fine. I am not really a country girl, but I come from a very farm family. So
I understand.
tractors
Me too.
are
You can't be from the Midwest and not like John Deere.
I come from a John Deere family. You what?
I said you can't be from the Midwest and not be a John Deere fan.
I mean,
yeah, well,
my grandfather was a
not
John Deere
currently.
guy.
Currently, they're laying off.
my
like,
husband and my sister both work at John Deere, so there's
Yeah.
that. But
Well,
there's also like this, and even
John
your
Deere
general farm
headquarters
prints.
is in our metro, and so they're
Yes.
laying off like 1,500 salaried workers right now, and
Oh God.
they're not
Oh.
telling anybody for like 2 more weeks. So like nobody knows if they're gonna have a job come August. And so it's a lot. I know a lot of people are really stressed out right now, but
Oh, I bet.
Oh yeah, there's
Yeah.
the stress are very, very high.
yes.
So do you
They're
get a cut
So they
since you're
pull up a
making
lot
them
of-
stuff?
Gwendolyn,
So
go ahead.
I'm not doing a cut. They're actually paying me hourly to do it.
Okay.
Oh.
So they don't have to keep track of like, okay, well these are the ones that Stephanie did, and
This is my next
to make it
job, I
easy.
think.
But so at least you're getting something. That's
Yes.
cool. That's a little bit a way to make a little bit of extra coin.
Yeah, for sure.
And actually, I won't give details, but it is more than what I make at my hourly job.
Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
They love
Iowa
you.
minimum wage sucks. We're just gonna tell you that right now.
Yeah, I work. It's not official minimum wage, but it basically is. And I do alterations. So,
Oh wow.
It's skilled work.
yeah. It
Here
is,
is
but-
here is one of my 155 blocks that I've officially finished.
Ooh.
That's really
It
fun.
has a metallic. It has it's black, white, and gray. And this is my middle block.
Oh, nice.
So my favorite color
Oh,
is
that's
purple,
I've
and my
been
husband's
seeing-
favorite color is blue.
Very
So
They look
I've been
nice with the
seeing a
black
lot of
background.
those, like half square triangles with another block inside of it. It's so cool.
so it's basically a pinwheel. It's all triangles.
Yeah.
It's all triangles. So there's a pinwheel with the 2 triangles on the side, and then the half square triangle to finish it. It's
I
called
love it.
Essence Winds, and it's done by Moonkin Stitchery, and she does all of her harder blocks and PDFs.
Yeah.
And they're all free.
That's cool.
Wait,
So
who
are
is
you-
it? I heard
Moonkin
free.
Stitchery.
Okay.
She's out of she's out of Texas.
Jen,
Okay.
working with all those triangles, are you like what kind of precision do you like? Are you like really precise, or do you like close enough?
Well, my first couple, before I went to a 50-50 blend of Stay Flow, and it was on the bias, I was a little more precise. And then I did 50-50 because I needed it like paper. Now that it's like paper, it's as long as it looks like a triangle, because when you put them together here, so
Stay Flow is
it
my
makes-
favorite. 50-50 Stay Flow.
Which
I live for
I
that.
What
just
is that?
not
I've
to
never heard of that.
divert-
Starch.
Not to
Okay.
divert, but
It's
Stay
starch in a
Flow-
big jug.
so the
somebody
top piece
somebody
the top piece
said
is
Very-
this.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, we gotta I'm gonna. Jen is next.
Yeah.
Go ahead and explain.
So they basically make a chevron piece. So you put them together, so they make a chevron. So as long as they line up, I'm fine as long as the lines aren't going opposite directions. It drives me crazy. I made sure that they were not directional fabrics so that I didn't have to worry about it.
So you said Stay Flow. So my question is, what happens if you don't have Stay Flow? Does another starch not work for you? Because I don't remember what channel it was I heard it on, but I heard somebody say that Stay Flow went out of business.
Oh, really?
Recently.
I just
Now
got
they
this.
did have
like a
They
month
did have a
ago.
recall.
Oh,
Right after the pandemic, they had a recall, and I know Walmart didn't carry it for probably 2 months, and it was really hard to find. But lately, I haven't had a problem. And 1 gallon lasts me probably a year.
Okay, so
one
that's your
gallon lasts me like 6 months, but
Yeah.
I'm very heavy on my stay flow. I mean, it's
There
this
are
one's a
currently
half
other
a
no news
gallon.
starches work,
articles.
but this is like a big jug of starch that you can
Yeah.
water down as you please instead of it coming in like an aerosol can, which I
Dawn
like.
showed the picture a minute ago.
Hey,
Perfect.
Chantel, your camera is off. I'm not
I
sure
know
if you
because
know that.
I'm on the floor right now trying to lay out blocks.
I feel like a lot of people would identify you with you doing that.
And I
Just an
even
I
FYI.
mean,
did
this is
this.
this is my life. If Stephanie was on retreat with me, she understands. I live on the floor.
We would constantly be on our cruise ship and like we'd be doing whatever. And I like to work in bed. I really like to just set up my pillows, get myself good back support, and do whatever I need to do sitting in bed. And Chantel's constantly crisscross applesauce on the floor, doing
I just
whatever.
can't help it.
It's all
There I
good.
am, me on the floor.
Like you can't see through my starch. There's no clear. It's solid.
It's like
That is
glue.
definitely pretty
It's
solid.
it's wet. I consider it wet, not sticky, but yeah,
So
I
what
love starch.
happens if
I
it's not
totally.
if they are going out of business and if it's not available? What will you use as backup? What would be like your next preferred?
I don't know. I may have to find out what the recipe is and
Do you want to
make
give
my
me
own
some
with
panic,
like
Gwendolyn?
I don't know. I'm just saying I heard somebody on YouTube mention that they were going out of business. I don't know. So you know.
She's always in
did
the know too, so this scares me.
I just did a Google search for it though, and there's nothing in like Google News
Okay.
with Stayflow. Chantel, your derriere is on camera, so maybe you want
Well,
to
you
adjust the
told me
angle a little
to.
bit.
You
Just
said they would
adjust,
relate, Stephanie.
let's adjust the angle maybe of your camera.
What's wrong with my ass?
Your ass is fine. I just don't know that you want it on the internet for everybody to see, given the clientele we sometimes attract this late in the evening.
Somebody said. They're like, put your derriere on the internet. I was like, sure, okay.
Well, you know,
That
the
could be
layout.
it's very difficult.
Put my derriere in. It would probably also attract followers you weren't really interested in.
It depends on which kind we're trying to get.
Oh, I know, right? Well, I mean, we do get some
The
nefarious.
appropriate users of quilters,
Yes.
quilts might be the. So yes, I am trying to get an appropriate layout for my quilt down here.
Yes. I would always lay mine out on the bed, but then I would have to go and like it's not like I have a big house, but I'd have to go from my bedroom to the dining room and back again, and it's just a process. I have stuff to make myself a design wall using foam insulation, like the 4x8 sheets. And like I have my batting, I have one of the 2 insulation bits I need. Have I done this in the last 6 months since I purchased it? Maybe more? No, I have not.
No.
So someday I'll do this.
Someday over the
bought
rainbow. Yeah.
Walmart tablecloths that have that sticky side, and I just tape those to the wall with painter's tape and
I
slap my
have
blocks on.
no wall space, so I need it to be like portable. Like I need to just
I'm
be
out of
able.
wall. I'm out of wall space too.
I
So
need to
you
just
have
be
an
able
entire
to
wall
like,
behind your quilt
Ooh, Donna, that's
machine,
cute.
but
Ooh, look
That's
at that. Are you doing Christmas in July?
Oh, Donna, that's cute.
No. Just funsies. Renee, what are you working on?
Well, I'm actually in bed.
I don't
That's
blame
okay,
you.
it is
Stop.
late.
No, I've actually been sick, so I'm really not working on anything because my sewing machine is in the dining room. My layout and pinning is in the living room. And in here, it's like, oh, freedom space.
Weren't you like moving? Did that happen?
That is still coming.
Okay.
We're waiting for my daughter to find a place first, and then I will be moving into a assisted living facility. Um, and supposedly there's a group of women that do crafts and do quilting. So
Some of the
Awesome.
places have like room set. I actually toured 3 assisted living facilities this week
yes,
as a work project. Because I'm working with someone who helps people find like the right community for them.
yeah.
And I walked in, Chantel was like living on a cruise ship for some of them.
Oh my gosh.
It was like you could go down the coffee bar, you could,
This
get
is how
all
we
your
need to be
meals
living in
served
the
to you.
40s.
I
We're
walked
doing it
into
wrong.
one and it was like beautifully interior designed, everything. I'll have to send you some of the videos. And I was like, man, Chantel and I need to move here now.
We got to get on
Now.
this.
That's
We gotta,
that's probably an expensive place.
Probably. It's probably like 10 grand a month for a
Yeah.
couple.
Uh,
But there's other options, of course. But
yeah.
I was like, oh man, I gotta save right so that
I gotta start doing my
I
retirement.
gotta do this. I know, right?
Well, this is
They should
the
have us touring these things at 40 so that we know what we want to save up for.
I also learned there
boom.
is you want to get it in your 40s or 50s, but it is like end of life care insurance, something like that. So
Long-
basically, yeah, long-term
long-term
care
care.
insurance, yeah. So it will help supplement,
Yeah.
whatever you don't
And
have.
I wouldn't wait for your 40s. I would get it as soon as you can.
Yeah.
It's true. My mother had great insurance that helped with all her care for the number of years that and her disability insurance and all of that stuff was really important. Sorry,
Yeah.
I covered my screen there for a second because, my derriere will be all over the internet.
Yeah, I don't know that you want
Okay,
that. But anyway,
so
this is what I
speaking
learned
of-
about.
Huh?
Oh, so I just had a quick question. So I'm trying to find you know how they do the quilted hearts that they do in trees and stuff on people's cars.
No.
Oh, yeah, I
I
have
wanted
one.
Yes, I've seen those hearts. They're added to the family tree.
nice. Well, I'm trying to make one for we want to make some for our nursing homes and living centers here where I live. And the only ones I can find are the ones that you register for the quilted hearts. Do you know if there's any patterns for quilted hearts that aren't like law abiding quilted hearts?
What does that mean?
Well, because a quilted heart can't have like it can't have any added things to it. It can't have any words. It can only have the message that they tell you to put on it, which is someone's thinking of you today. And then you go on the website and you register it, and you can track where your quilted heart has been or is going.
That's fun.
So,
Never heard
but
of that
because it's good because it's not technically going to an anonymous person. We're actually giving it to people at the nursing home. It can't be a gifted quilted heart because of that fact. Because a quilted heart has to be found by a person like randomly
Oh,
in a weird place.
I never heard of this organization actually.
No, I don't think that could be copyrighted though. I mean, like the one
True.
that we found, it didn't have any particular writing on it, but it had a little tag on it. And I
Right.
never
Well, and
followed through with it.
that's
I never really understood the whole program, but I don't
right.
see how they could make laws about that or copyright it or anything.
Right.
How do you like leave a quilt somewhere for someone to find it?
It's a tiny little pocket heart. It's a quilted heart. So
Okay.
it's
Oh, just a little
as big
one.
as your palm. Yes.
Okay. I was gonna say
It's
like
basically just
it's like
Kind
painted
of like
rocks.
those painted rocks.
Yeah.
There you go.
yeah,
Right. You
Yeah.
just find them in weird random places.
right.
So that's the
They're
whole
usually in
program
trees at
is
Walmart.
just that's the
Usually
whole
it's trees
program?
at Walmart. Good to know.
So we have some questions on YouTube. Kathy Floss says it's like we're like her sister when they quilt long distance. So they're having fun being with us tonight.
Awesome.
And then we also have Liz Boz, who is figuring out how to sort her fabrics. So right now she's sorting it by maker and then color. Because as a bag maker, she likes to keep with the same maker for an item. And I know how I do it, and I'd love to hear how everyone else does it. Chantel obviously has hers in neon color order behind her. What
So they
I
only work in
do,
neon.
I mostly have fat quarters because I like to just have the whole collection as well. So I'll just buy a fat quarter bundle if I really like the collection. And I have a ridiculous amount of Tula. So that's all in one location. And it is by color and it is by designer. And then I have a couple other designers like Stephanie Brandenburg of Front Design Studio, Allison Glass. Who else do I have over there? Shell
Probably some
Rubble.
cave.
I don't have as much cave as you would think. All the cave I've had got turned into quilts. I made probably a
That sounds
dozen
about right.
cave quilts. So those all just got turned into actual quilts. So those are just done. But from there, I will organize by manufacturer and then by if it's like just a plain basic, I'll just keep all the basics together. But that's what I do. But let's hear what other people do.
So for
Chantel,
my
you want to
ye-
start?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
go
was gonna say my yardage is one thing. My yardage is all by color, and it's pretty much all Ruby Star or Allison Glass or Tula. So I don't really separate by the maker because I can pretty much guarantee myself that it's one of those three or it's just a bonus friend. But all of my fat quarters are by designer,
So you don't
essentially,
consider
and then
your
by color.
quarters yardage?
No. They live an entirely different life, folded up like this, actually.
That's what I do with mine too.
Half yards and quarter yards all live a life folded like this. So here's my Tula or whatever. This is all like batiks that were by Allison Glass.
I have some of those too.
They're so pretty.
Okay, I haven't
goals
done
with that.
anything with them.
Me
Not one
neither.
thing. Actually,
No,
yes,
but they
I did.
look gorgeous.
I have this that needs to become something at some point.
Oh,
That's
This
beautiful.
is weaving, and obviously I've lost the strip. I gotta fix that. But this
Oh,
has
wow.
literally been like this for 6 or 7 years.
It
Oh.
needs to be, yeah,
It
made
needs
I'm
to
more
into
be
worried
done.
about my Christmas whip here. Okay.
Oh, I have old
Somebody,
ones. I
yeah.
have very old ones.
But
But
that's essentially how I do it. And then once I have it as each designer, because I kind of like the idea of the collection being together too. Although depending on the maker. So if it's Tula, I keep it as its collection and I try to get it in the same bin. But if it's somebody else, I just kind of get it in its happy spot. Whatever it looks good with is kind of where it ends up living, as long as it's by the designer. So once it gets to yardage, then I have all my colors and then I have my low volumes and my darks. Those are over there. They're not organized yet, but they are over there.
what does everybody else do?
Well,
I also have yardage on comic book
recently,
boards, by the way.
I recently just started kind of making sense of designers and collections and stuff like that. Um, I never really probably maybe 2010-ish, 2005 or so. My quilting just really went on the back burner. And previous to that, it was just super scrappy, whatever I could get off the dollar table at there, Joanne, or whatever. Um, and so when I started really kind of getting into it again, um, I really didn't have much. I would just go and, I don't know, find a color that I liked and try to match a color that I liked with that and I don't know, put it up and try to put it back together and, whatever. But anyway, now that I'm with a guild, and I'm really starting to just ramp up. It's like I have so many ideas and whatnot. 2 years ago or so, anyway, I had a friend call me, and she's like, "Hey, this friend of a friend," he said, um, this guy, his wife died, and he wants the house cleaned out. You got to come see this." And I'm like, "What?" So I have got this mother lode of um inherited, gifted, just piles of random sticks. And one the first designer that I made sense of, just having to reorganize and try to figure out what I was doing with this fabric. And I did a lot of this. I mean, I love just touching and getting into fabric. Anyway, Jason Yenter. And
Mm.
I have a lot of pieces of Jason Yenter, but I don't really have much to like put it together. And just a few weeks ago, I was really on a mission to find these particular pieces of Jason Yenter, and I wasn't successful enough to really get a whole quilt out of it. Um, but what I do to sort mine, I think I had mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, but that tower, those two towers right there, and I need to add another one. The bottom half are all like about quarter yard pieces, and I haven't gone. I started organizing them by color, and my mind just couldn't handle it. So they're just anything that's approximately a quarter yard. And then I have what I call my handful sizes. So they're probably anywhere from maybe 7 or 8 inches or so, and they're wonky sizes. I have just today, after watching some Lori Holt videos, I started whenever I get a small bit, then I'm cutting them into the 2.5 inch squares. So I've just recently started in with 2.5 inch squares, but I just can't imagine color coding them. 'Cause actually it's really kind of fun if I pull out a bin and I just start rifling through it. Um, so,
It's like
and
going to
then
the
I have my
grocery store.
yeah, I don't know. And then I have my tidbits. My tidbits are like less than it won't quite make a 2.5 inch anything. And I imagine, I see myself one day doing like a thumb quilt, just a really super scrappy, bits and pieces kind of quilt. Um,
Those are great for collage
so
too, Dawn.
yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then I have that whole wall over there. I got these wire cubes, 'cause I didn't have a bunch of money to figure out how to store this stuff. I am in the basement, and I couldn't have any kind of furniture that's going to absorb any kind of moisture. Um, the light's not on over there. I don't know if you can even see it, but they're wire cubes. It's wire cube shelving. And I had to get in there with some Gorilla Glue and some zip ties to just really make sure that they're stable. And it's got a lot of weight in each one of those sections. So that's how I do my yardage. And I'm trying to do it, um, rainbow, Roy G. Biv. I'm not quite there yet, but it's all out of bins. I don't have anything stacked on the floor. It's all on those shelves. It's not quite organized yet, but I'm okay with that. Um, but at least I know my yardage is over there, my scraps are over here, my batting is under here, and everything is quite a mess this past week, because I've had a very extremely stressful week, and all I could do this week was this. So I'm glad to have little bits of mindless activity to be able to, yeah. So that's how I'm doing it.
So you were the one that had the handful and the tidbits
Yeah,
idea for the scraps.
yeah, that's those towers over
I
there.
think that is
And
honestly like really strong advice for people like me who get hung up about the exact size of it. And there's a
Yeah.
certain point at which it doesn't really matter what size it
No.
is. It just matters if it's big enough or if it's not big enough.
Right. Exactly.
So
And it's
having
kind of
those kind of
graduated.
like, it's kind of like, yeah, a handful versus having, like some versus a tidbit versus it's like the measurements that I think it was my grandmother Milam that had a thing in her kitchen that's like, grandma measurements. And it was like a
Yeah.
dash
Pinch.
versus like a
Yeah, a pinch
pinch,
and a
yeah,
dash.
and like
Mhm.
all of those things, which I'm a terrible cook, but I relate to that in a sewing matter. I need like a dash of lime green and, a
Right.
pinch of hot pink.
I need a little bit of organization, to keep my sanity, but I can't be so precise like some others that I've seen. As
I
long as
think it
I
would
know the
drive you
general
crazy.
vicinity. Yeah.
I mean, I
Some
have
people need that, but I can't do that.
That's true.
Not right now.
I have a place for everything. That doesn't mean that everything is in its place, as you can
Right.
clearly
Amen.
see behind me.
Hmm.
But
I
Yeah.
you
have
know,
I have two big giant Rubbermaid containers, and I have all my yardage on comic book cardboard.
Yeah,
But
me too.
mine too.
since I have cats, I have to keep them away. Otherwise, they like to rub all over them. I learned the hard way.
Yeah.
Joke's
Mine,
on
They
you
love that.
there.
there's no space
Especially
on
the
the
black
shelf.
cat.
They
The
wouldn't
black
be able
cat
to
and
do
the
it.
white fabric is the worst.
And the cleanest of the fabrics. So whatever's, just got brought into the house or just
Oh yeah.
pulled out of the laundry.
Oh yeah.
You
Yep.
gotta
Oh,
work it into the house.
mine instantly gets dog hair on it. So I've got
Mhm.
How
let
you
me
make
move
it
my
yours.
camera. So this is a combination of works in progress and just things that I want to be a project and have everything be kept together with like the pattern and whatever, all the fabrics, so that I don't accidentally use something that I intend for something specific. And my goal is not to add to that. Like that is a max amount that I'm allowed to have. And then over here we have all of our fat quarters, and I put a link to the bins that I use. You can get them at Target. And that works pretty well. And then I have all my yardage on comic book boards, which actually is mostly garment fabric. And so I'll have that by substrate. Like up here, I have faux fur and coating fabric. This is like really fancy stuff, some of which I've already used, and some of which, I'm planning on, using for something at some point. And over here, I have like an entire shelf where all those tiny ones are. That's all apparel fabric for doll clothes. And then the bottom, like 4 shelves, are my quilting fabric. And I have like backgrounds all together in one, some Tula, holiday type stuff. Solids are all in one area and batiks are all in one area. And I saved 1 yard of all of my fabrics that I did for my collection in 2 1-yard cuts and then 2 like 4-yard cuts for backgrounds, so that someday my girls can make something with my fabric, because I think that might be a one and done thing. So
It's awesome.
that doesn't
And I see
mean
you've got it all the way to the ceiling. That's what my
I
key
do.
too is to
So
go all the way as high as I can.
Did you
These, they don't-
custom make those cabinets?
no, these were, they don't make them anymore. They're heavy duty cabinets that we used to have bolts on when we were brick and mortar. And
Oh,
then they had different uses once we went to just online only. Then we use like wire shelving, because you can fit a lot more in wire shelving than, when you're doing this type of thing. But they've been in the backgrounds of my videos for like ever. And over here, this whole wall is finished stuff. So all the quilts I've made, there's a yarn stash area, which is getting larger than I probably don't need more yarn for a while. I gotta finish some stuff there. But like I said, that doesn't mean that everything is where it should be. I've got a pile of trimmings from the bag I made on the floor over there. I've got a box of cotton cuts and some stuff that Free Spirit sent me on the floor, you know. I'm just like, I appreciate this so much, but I just have not taken the time that is required to do what needs to be done with it to get it organized. So my life has just been, first it was like I couldn't deal with it, and then because it was just mentally too much, and then things just got really busy, and so it's like, I don't know, my studio went from being fabulously organized to a hot mess when I was working on the midway point for my deadline, and it hasn't really recovered since then because I was working on like 6 projects at a time. I have
Yeah,
a lot easier time keeping things organized when I'm working on one thing at a time. That
I was
works
going to
a lot
say
better
that
for
you
me.
had told me that usually you like to work on a single project, get it to completion, and then move on. And this hasn't allowed you to be able to do that. So it's been a
No,
bit of
not
a
at
new
all.
adventure.
Can't even
So
fathom that. I would love to just work on one project. But my brain just won't let me.
No, me neither.
I don't know.
Agree.
for
I'm
me,
I
always
it's,
just
working on a gazillion projects at a time.
but
I
mine are all
know.
like mostly like work deadline things. Like I have
Yeah,
to get it done. And in the past, like I would need to get it done so that we could move the fabric back when we sold fabric. And so it was a deadline because you want to turn that fabric into money so that you can then buy more fabric and
sure.
make payroll and pay your rent and all that stuff. So, it was a big churn. But like, for example, this week I was going to tackle one of the more simpler quilts first for the panel book. But then I remembered that one, I don't have the backing fabric I wanted for it, and I want to order that via mail. And two, I have started this. It's a lot of weird pieces. It took up a lot of space because I want to like fussy cut to get like a fade going with the log cabins. And I was just like, this is not going to work, Stephanie. You need to just finish this stupid quilt. I'm not stupid. I really like it. You need to finish this quilt top first, and then it will be out of the way, and you can move on to the other ones. Because these I'm not quilting myself. So I'm trying to do like a quilt top a week between now and the last Saturday in August, or the last Saturday in July, because then I can go on a little
It's only
trip.
2 weeks away.
I'm aware of that. The next two are really simple.
I'm sorry.
Really, really simple. Oh no, I'm
You hit a
so
sore
used to
spot
this.
there.
No, I did the first half of the book in 6 weeks, and I'm going to do the second half of the book in 6 weeks. And I like I had a whole year, but I'm basically doing the whole book in 3 months, split into 2 6-week sections. So that's how
Wow.
I roll. I just do better when I have a deadline.
We
But
both
Sure,
work better
I'm the
with a
same way.
deadline.
I'm
yeah.
the same way. And even like my self-imposed deadlines,
Uh-oh, I cut something
don't
off.
always work too well. If I make a commitment to somebody else, I'm much better. But if the commitment is to myself,
Absolutely.
I'm bad at that.
I'm
Oh
I
yeah,
terrible at
for sure.
committing to myself. At committing to somebody else, I'm like, no,
isn't that
I gotta hold that
something that
up. I gotta be
is,
trustworthy.
I
Yeah.
know that's something else.
No, I've been
I
there.
do have a question about panels,
Mm-hmm.
to you, Stephanie. Um, so in this pile of Jason Yenter stuff, I found, I found these panels, they're small panels, but they were all together,
Mm-hmm.
um, in a sheet, a couple yards. Um, so, trying to figure out, how to use this fabric. I had so many ideas. Oh, but I didn't have enough of that, or I didn't have enough of that, or whatever. Um, so then, one of my ideas, worked out to where, I could use these small panels, um, and alternate them with black, kind of like you're doing with the stars
Mm-hmm.
in the log cabins, alternating them like that. Um, and I got my heart all set on doing this. I was kind of matching up colors. I'm like, oh, I think I have enough. I can, use the green for, flashing on this or whatever. So I pulled out my square and I went to trim these small panels apart,
And they're
and
not actually square.
it's so wonky. I was fitful, and I went actually to my very first quilt retreat a few weeks ago, and this lady was working on panels there, and I started kind of picking her brain, and she didn't seem like she was at all trying to be careful about getting anything square. And
So
I'm like, how do you deal with that? So are panels
here's how
generally
you deal
just
with it.
not square?
Generally,
Really
no,
good
they're not.
question.
Because
How cool.
they're printed, right? It's not, I
Yeah.
mean, it's printed on a woven fabric. And so it is very rare that you have like a stripe or a panel or anything that's like meant to be square actually comes out square because it's fabric. It's going to shift a little bit. Whether it shifted in the printing process or it shifted when it got rolled on the bolt and now something's stretched out funny, like any of those things are possibilities. So what I typically do is I trim down my panel a little bit so that I can get it square. And then I add whatever borders I need to get to 2.5 feet or 24.5 inches by 48.5 inches. So then you have a 2x4 fabric and you have your seam allowances around it. And then you can put any 12-inch block on the side of that. And sometimes you kind of just have to go with it. Like if you're doing, I think I have them. Oh, let me grab it. So this is becoming more
Yeah, that's
popular
what she
now.
told me. She told me to just, she
Yeah.
said, make sure that my piece, she said, make sure
Yeah.
the fabric is square and not pay much attention, to the actual printing on it. But to,
Yes and
you know,
no. I try to force it. And then sometimes I will just kind of ease it in and then you make it square when you quilt it, which is easier to do in a long arm than a domestic. But like these panels here are meant to be a placemat, instant placemat. You can just like sew it, flip it right sides out, you have placemat. So these ones here, they were not at all square at all. Like you can see they are now. But what I did was I used a Corbon, which is a really stiff interfacing, and I forced it square when I put that on there. And then I also have some fusible fleece on the inside to add a little bit of oomph to it. This is another really good example. So it looks square now. And the back of it, I cut so that we have kind of even ness
so is that
going
a
around
panel?
here. The center part was a panel that was like just squares. So these are just double-sided placemats. And if you look close here, you can see we have more room here than we have here, but
Yeah.
you just do your best. And I
Yeah.
find that your eye picks up more on the sidelines than the horizontal ones. So if you get your
Oh,
vertical ones looking straight, it's a little bit easier to look like that. And then when you surround it, with this busy stuff, you don't see it anymore. So
so the sides should be, you pay more attention to the sides than the top and the
do
bottom.
the best you can.
Your eye
You
pays
can,
more attention to those vertical marks. So if it's off like this a little bit, you notice that a little more
yeah,
than you notice
Yeah.
a little bit of
the
Well,
this.
fact that it's not straight there.
our
Yeah.
eyes are trained to move from left to right, so that makes
Hmm.
sense. I mean, that's how
Or
we read,
like,
that's how we process. And
Yeah,
I have,
absolutely.
what I did was I ended up putting a border around it.
mhm.
Um, but I don't know if you can see, how,
Yeah, it's off a little.
you know,
And,
but I
but,
figured with
you
all
just kind of
the,
do your best and you can fudge it a little and then
yeah,
like just kind of make it work. But
especially
with the
with
quilting,
being like, there'll be different blocks. You know what I mean? They won't all be like right next to each
you
other.
can also just like go smaller. So like this one, see if I have the original over here. I do. Let me
Well,
grab
the
it.
block that I was going to put with it, the block that I was going to be alternating with it, was a 16-inch block. And I sat like for an hour and did the math to try and figure out how to make that 16-inch block into a 12-inch. And it's just, my husband, he did the math also separate from me. I wouldn't
Yeah.
tell him my answer. And we did come up with the same thing, but then it's like redesigning an entire Missouri puzzle block. And
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it.
So this is another one.
Yeah.
This was the original. Obviously, it's not square and it has a clear border to it. What I did was I ignored the border and I just cut it smaller. And then you can't
So
tell.
you actually cut into the printing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
So you can't tell that.
Yeah, this particular one, I didn't want
You
to
can't
lose
tell at
this.
all that this was
I didn't,
there.
I didn't want to lose this right here.
Yeah.
So
in that case,
yeah,
sometimes you can just cut and let it be off, but like
yeah,
maybe cut a 1/4 inch outside of what it is. Make sure you
yeah,
end up with something that's square in the end. And then, you know, fudge it. You know, people fudge all the time when things don't quite work exactly. And some of
yeah,
these, when I put them on, they were nowhere near straight. I made them be straight. And you
yeah,
can make stuff get straight with quilting. There's some
yeah,
things you cannot do with quilting. There's a lot you can do to fix stuff. Like
You
yeah.
can
I
also mess it
quilted,
up really badly with quilting if you're
you
not
can do that
careful.
too. So like
Just
Yeah,
to
I've
be
done that
B.
already.
Stephanie
And
Something
B.
else.
so good at that.
I have something else, Dawn, that I don't know that if you
Yes.
thought. Hold your block up again. It made me, as you guys were talking, it made me think about that background of that collage, how I actually attached that green border that's similar to that red one that you didn't want to lose there. And
Mhm.
I agree with both Chantel and Stephanie that the sides of mine, I made sure that they were straight versus the top and bottom because I was taking it from her border fabric and you would think it would be straight, but it wasn't. It was a little bit wonky. I don't know that it would work after looking at that block, but you could always, you know, take that border off, like cut it off and cut into your design and then reattach the border to make it straight. It's a little bit fussy, a
Oh,
little bit more
wow.
precise, but
Yeah,
if you're passionate about it for a particular project, it is an option. It's just a
right.
more precise, extreme, version.
So
Yeah,
this is
that would be extreme for sure.
this
So
is
that's a
Going-
the
panel,
panel.
Jen.
It's a quilt of valors that I made for my brother.
Mhm.
It's a 3 dudes pattern on the outside, and then I used a full panel in the middle.
Nice. And as
So
And
big as
I
that
got
is, I suppose it would be a little easier. You probably have a little more flexibility
I mean
with
it is and
straightening
it
yes.
that
isn't.
out.
But
The other thing, like Jen, if yours was off, which it didn't look like yours was off, was that one off at all?
Oh, it
No.
looked very
Yeah, it
nice.
looked very
So
straight.
I got really lucky. I don't know how I did it, but when I put my blocks together, they lined up perfectly, and I was like, it's just a sign.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if
sometimes
you
we
did,
just get godsend moments where things line up and
Right?
you're like, I'm smart. And
Right.
really, it's like, I'm lucky.
So
Yeah.
that one there that you showed, that panel, how the background was like all cream and so it was all the same. If you had one side that was wonky or one way, you could always take from the bottom and kind of scab it on the top, or even do something creative like almost like a snowball, only not so triangle, but more like ramp, where it would, kind of be deliberately on purpose sort of done that way to hide it. So fussy options, they're all like fussy kind of options if something like that would really bother you. But Dawn, that would be another one too, if you had a panel that had that same background. You take that background and just kind of scab in that part to make it
Yeah.
perpendicular
And
on your.
this, it it's the same color as this, and this was the color that I was using in the block that I was going to alternate with it, so I didn't want to lose that one little section. But it looks kind of purple on the camera, but it's actually a plum. But if anybody happens to have any of this tucked in anywhere, I have looked, I have
You want
scavenged
it?
the entire internet,
Is that the
and
Jason Yenter?
this is the Jason Yenter. It doesn't have a color thing on the selvage. It's Shangri-La, but it doesn't have any kind of color coding. It's from 2014, but it's plum. It's not a purple. It's the most luscious plum color, and it's so hard to find plum. And this is what I really want in my bedroom. I've never really had like a theme or a color or any kind of, decorated bedroom. But anyway, this is it's like I want this so bad. And so
Here's another panel that I did with
oh, baseball.
but it's
Oh,
got
how
Minky for a
fun.
self-binding board, self-binding, yeah, backing.
So one other thing I do when I'm fixing stuff with
Nice.
quilting, because I do that quite often. And this wasn't my quilt, and it's not a panel that I'm giving you the example of. Stephanie B did a quilt called Cosmos, which had 3 different block designs within it. And we all know that when we're mixing stuff like that, sometimes they turn out different sizes. They're not all going to be exactly 12.5 inches. And so there were spots where like it was coming in like 4 inches. But obviously we
Oh,
want
wow.
nice straight edges on the outside, right? So what I would do is the first thing I would do is I would make sure that my edges were nice and straight, and then I would stitch. And I did this on the long arm, so this is easier to do on a long arm. But if you don't have one, a lot of times you can rent time on one near you at like a quilt shop or a shop that just specializes in this. So I'd make sure my edges are straight, and then I would stitch that down. And then if I had a border, I would stitch straight down that. So all my vertical lines were nice and straight before I did anything on the center of the quilt or any free motion quilting. And I would use ruler work to do that. But what that does is it kind of forces it to be a size. And then even though you're stretching and you're fudging it a little bit, in the end, nobody knows besides you that you did that. And it works out pretty well. I also typically outline like
I
whole blocks if I'm doing that too.
I have basted quilts, like done like a large stitch, a basting stitch. And I've done that a couple of times, and then I just kind of pull it out as I go. Well, there was a couple that I actually hand basted that way. And I'd start from the center, and I would, I'd do the base stitching, and then I'd go back and I'd do the quilting, and I'd just pull that other stitching out as I go. But what you're saying is actually do kind of like a grid
Oh,
type
like a ruler
quilting.
work going around it, yeah.
Yeah,
And that works
that's a
out
good
pretty well.
idea.
And then, you're set. It's gonna stay
Yeah.
the way you want it, and you don't have to worry about it so much. So
And that Stay Flow starch helps with that.
I bet it does. But
Oh, yes.
I don't
we
I
all
don't
come to the
I
table
don't
with
get things as
different
wonky as they used to be.
we all come to
Getting
the
better.
table with different abilities, and sometimes we need like a little something else to make it
Yep.
go the way it is. Like I know I can manipulate fabric and make it work.
Sure.
Because I've been doing this. There's like 125 quilts on this wall that I've done. And so you learn how to fudge it, which is I think a very important part of quilting. But
I like
um,
making my fabric into paper so that I can, basically make it into what I want before I have to fudge it. And I
yeah.
think that's also a time thing too. I haven't been doing this as long as Stephanie has. And I like to have that sense of control.
Mhm.
And
I saw a video just recently, yesterday or something. Kimberly, I don't remember her last name, from Fet Quarter Shop. And
Kimberly Jolly.
maybe, yeah. And she actually saturates her fabric, and she has
Oh, yeah.
The drying
I
rack.
get really
you know,
into
the
it.
hanging, the drying racks.
Oh, that's what I do too. I
That's
dry
what you
it.
do, Chantel.
And then
Mhm.
I was shocked. I'm like, I always felt a little guilty about soaking it down, you know, with the spray, but she actually saturates it, and she
Well,
uses
and
that
that's why I
aerosol
use,
stuff.
yeah, I don't use
Yeah,
the aerosol because that gets
no,
to my guilt.
that's
But
yeah, that's bad.
I use a garden sprayer. I'll show you.
I
I'm
love
not even kidding.
garden sprayer.
Oh, I cut myself with a
goodness.
rotary blade too, so I have
Oh,
that
don't
going
do
for
that.
me. No, I really just did.
I
Yeah.
believe you.
It was a
We've all
very
been
sharp
there.
blade. I didn't even feel it.
So that's what you
So
use
this is
to
my
start?
garden sprayer. Yeah, and I put my stuff down on a towel and I turn it on. It's like an electronic thing. And this is what Varusha from Pride and Joy Sewing also uses for her fabric.
Never.
It
I
is
have
on my
never.
list to
That's
do
hilarious.
that. I love that.
And so I will spray it down. And if I have something that uses curves or requires an extreme amount of precision, I will
Oh,
do this. Otherwise, I will spritz and let it sit in for a little while. It depends on how devoted I am to the particular project. I
yeah,
have
I do the
projects I've done
spritz, and I
without
get it pretty
starch
wet,
now,
but
but they never turn out near as good as when I turn my fabric into paper, basically. And then,
wow.
yeah, so this is my little toy.
I
It
haven't done
makes,
curves yet, but
here, I'll
they're
see
on
if
my
it makes
list,
its
so I
noise.
will remember.
It makes a noise and everything. And like it's a sprayer. It's dripping
Wow.
right now.
I think
Stephanie,
I
have
need
you
that
ever
for my
tried
garden.
doing
It's on my
that?
ironing board, so it's fine.
You
The
could
only
get
time I use starch early on. And then I would always run out and I would
Yeah.
feel like, oh, well, I don't really need to go buy more of that right now. And same with Best Press. I used Best Press on those placemats though. That was like, I mean, that was a no,
Which
you
is a
could not
starch,
do
isn't
without
it?
that.
Or is it a starch
It's a
alternative?
starch alternative. And then what else did I do? But I use it when I do the spray starch applique. But
Yeah,
Well,
see, I couldn't justify the cost of the best press, especially lately. Money's been a little tight, and my husband's been struggling and stuff, and the stay flow was a fraction, and it's
oh
I'm
pretty
yeah,
sure.
heavy,
that's
and
what
I
I
can
use
dilute
too.
it.
And it's
Yeah,
I could probably afford Best Press, but why do it when you have a good alternative that comes delivered from Walmart, right?
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I always
So
do the either pick it up or yeah, have them delivered. But yeah, and
there you go,
yeah.
Chantel. That can be one of your first YouTube videos when you start your channel.
oh
Do a
yeah, there you
tutorial
go.
on your garden sprayer starch method.
I
That might
love my
go
garden
viral.
sprayer.
It might go
You could
viral.
show how exactly you process your fabric from, you know, the
I mean,
get-go.
I have fabric over here that has been starched for a while, and you can tell like it doesn't lay
Oh
like
yeah,
normal fabric lays. It
right.
it's hard.
And I like that.
Oh yeah.
I
It's
It's
like
like
crisp.
playing with
canvas.
that better than the
It
slippery
feels
stuff.
like
Yeah.
canvas, but it washes right out.
Oh
It's
yeah.
And
crisp.
I mean,
I'm not sure how I feel. I feel like every project I do something different. I don't feel like I'm consistent when it comes to starch. Okay. So like
that's
some
your quilting
projects,
type.
yeah, it's some projects I will do like that where I saturate them, let them dry, and then all the way to the extreme where I will use no starch at all. And I'll be like, I don't know why. There's not really a reason.
I'm
I can't
still
put my
toying
finger
with
on it.
things.
Maybe
I
that's
don't have the
what,
125 quilts under my belt where I'm like,
right.
nope, this is
Exactly.
because as much as somebody wants to tell me this works, this works, this works, I'm still the person that's like, I want to try it and find out
Exactly. That's
the
how I
hard
Right.
way,
and I could,
regardless.
even though,
Well,
I have
what
been
works for
so
me isn't what works for other people. And
right.
that's
But
very valid.
but you have a lot of experience because you have all of those quilts and stuff. I've been sewing all my life, yet I would consider you way more of an expertise than myself, because your projects are grander, bigger, more, you've had more time to learn the ins and outs of those. And so I think
I have a lot more
until,
hours.
yeah, I think she's right that, I even think after all this time, I'm still trying to figure out where I like to put what method. If that,
The only
if
thing
that
I
makes sense.
know is what colors I love
I do know
and
that.
what fabric is necessary for me. And well, English paper piecing, I got that down. But
See,
I've
I
never
like to
been real
use
particular with color. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
best press on like things that aren't triangle. If they're on the bias, I use Stay Flow
Oh
for it
yeah,
at
yeah,
a 50/50.
definitely.
But I use best press on smaller projects because I don't like hanging them. I like drying them with the iron.
I don't think
Yeah,
I've
me
ever
too.
used Best Press, so I don't know what the performance of it is.
I mean, it has a nice smell. It doesn't,
I get the
it's not like,
unscented. I
oh,
I
Really?
can't handle that.
Yeah,
No.
I can't
I
stand
like the
anything
fresh one.
scented myself. Yeah, I can't handle any of those scented things. But I like the stiffer fabric. I like that it doesn't ravel as much when I'm having to rip things out and put it back together.
that's true.
Or
Yes.
Well, in
I
Walmart,
just
fine.
yeah,
Where's my sprayer?
I like like Chantal was saying, the paper feel of it. It's just, it makes the fabric stiffer, and
Yeah.
it doesn't stick as much. It stays in place, and it kind of, it hugs the fabric that you put it next to. So even just from,
Yeah.
fiddling it together and then getting it under the presser foot, sometimes, things aren't lined up like I thought they were
See,
gonna be.
I
But
use
when
the,
they're,
sorry.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I use the best press when I'm planning on doing it,
Yeah.
but I want to starch it without and being able to put it away. Whereas with the Stay Flow, I'm afraid to put it away because of the cornstarch in it.
Come on.
So
Oh, why?
well, just because I don't know, like moths, and it's a mental thing for me.
Oh,
I just get paranoid about starching it and then putting it away for a later time. So when I know I'm going to be putting it away, I usually use the best press because it doesn't have the
I've
cornstarch in it.
heard things about that before that people don't like to put if you have starch on it that it might get
Attract.
bugs and stuff like that before.
oh,
I mean, I did just find a bug in a bag, so I'm not exactly the perfect example. Oh God, I see a puppy. Things are gonna end.
kitty.
Oh, puppies and
Oh
kitties.
yeah.
This is Chin.
Oh,
All
man, a
over
puppy.
for me.
Oh, hi.
I see a
This is
puppy.
this is Chin Chin, and she is about 8 months old.
Oh,
What is
goodness.
she?
Mhm.
She is a Bichon,
Mhm.
Oh,
and she is
Cute.
our thief.
Does she go with you?
she
Does she
Will
stole
go
your
with you when
heart
you
or she
move?
steals other things?
very quiet and then grab something very quickly and run very fast away.
Hide it.
She's mischievous.
Oh
This
yeah.
this is my
Cute.
pass
yeah.
out Cocker Spaniel who needs a haircut.
Oh,
Oh.
Remy.
He's my shadow. I've been calling him my
This one?
son lately. I don't know how my father or my husband feels about that.
Your hubby.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
This
Let's hear
this one
about your
only
kitty.
attacks. This one only attacks
I
me when
refuse to get
I'm trying to do something.
an animal.
Well, that's fair. God forbid you do anything other than give them attention.
You gonna say hi?
Right.
You gonna say hi now that I said your name? Socks. Nope. We're gonna walk away.
Okay, okay.
That's funny.
Very cat of them.
Uncle. She's also likes to give lots of kisses.
I'm sure.
I have a dachshund corgi that hates me. And then, I mean, she really does hate me. She will
So
get
is she
up
low to the
and,
ground?
oh
Is
yeah,
she low
she's
to the
very
ground
low
and long?
No.
and long. Yeah, she's got it all. She's a very unique looking dog, actually.
I bet.
And then, but I have a Yorkie poo. We think it's a Yorkie poo, and he is a licker. If you're not careful, you're not paying attention, you'll just stand up on a wet foot
Yeah.
because you don't even notice it anymore. After 10 years, this dog will just lick and lick and lick and lick to the point where you don't even notice that you're getting soaking wet until you've stood up.
That's
Mhm.
funny.
Yeah.
I've
Dawn,
never met a dog that doesn't love me. I mean, and it was a problem there for a while because I would feel sorry for them because they'd need a home and they loved me. And it's like, I don't know, but it hasn't happened in a while. And my
Watch
kids
out,
tried
it's
to
coming.
get me a dog last year, and I'm like, no way. Yeah, I'm feeling the freedom. And I went over to my son's house the other day, and he got a puppy last winter. I don't know, this dog, he's bigger than me. And but they just take one look at me and they love me. And I'm like, it's nice, you're cute, I love you too. Just, oh,
I
give me
love
some
you over
space.
there. Go over there.
Yeah. And then the other day, yeah, I go over there and Bruce takes one look at me and he goes, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
his paws were, I swear he left a bruise on my chest. And that's all he did. I mean, he didn't lunge or anything. This dog is he's massive. He weighs
Is he
like
a mastiff?
130 pounds. He's something different. I don't remember what it is. It's massive-ish. He's a massive,
Yeah.
yeah. And my son was shocked because he's never seen Bruce do that before. And it's like, it's just me. They look at me, they love me. I don't know what it is about me. And
Cats like me,
but
but I'm allergic to them, and so that's why they like me. That's
Well,
what I've
yes.
decided.
Cats
Yeah.
always go to
Yeah.
the ones that don't like them or can't like them.
They're like, oh, you're not
Right.
gonna love me? I'm gonna make you love me.
I
My
know,
dad
right?
is not a cat person, and my sister has 3 cats. And the last time I was over at their house, one of them who never sits on anybody was like making his home on his lap. And he was just like, but he didn't want to pick it up and get it off either. It was really funny. Really, really
Mhm.
funny.
I
Dawn,
love
I
animals,
love
though. I want to
animals.
love them
I do
back.
too. I love
look at
them.
this.
I just don't want any right now.
Dawn, look at this fabric. I was processing my fabric. This is a
That
Jason
is
Minter.
amazing. That
This
is
is a,
amazing.
I knew you'd love it.
He
That's,
he
I think it's
just
called Butterfly. I think it's called Butterfly, but it's not a
that must be
plum
a
like
new.
yours. No,
Yep.
no, this is vintage. So
Oh,
when
is it?
y'all, when we were talking about processing our fabric, how we keep and store our stash,
Uh-huh.
I store all my vintage separate than my new fabric. And
Okay.
this is a vintage piece that I picked
That
up
is
at some point.
amazing.
And when I pick up vintage fabric, some people, they don't care, but I don't know where it's been. And so I put it in a bin with charcoal to get the smell out, and I
Sure.
keep it like in the garage for a couple months.
Yeah.
And then I'll pull it out and I'll wash it and I'll process it. And I also,
Yeah.
all my vintage fabric is all washed because I don't like the vintage smell. I don't trust where it's
Yeah.
been, if it's got critters
Usually
or
in the
Yeah. I
whatever.
wash
it's
mine
usually
in vinegar.
I use all sorts of different things depending on what it is. I'll use vinegar, baking soda. I have some other products and stuff.
You
But
should have heard when she got her hairbrush.
yeah. And I also buy a lot of doilies because I do a lot of work with doilies and crochet type stuff as well. But this is one of the vintage pieces that is in my
That
thing. So
is
I don't think it's
beautiful.
new. I mean, I could be wrong. I could have picked it up and it could
I
be
don't
new.
know. It
but-
is. I have looked at a lot of Jason Yandrick stuff over the last few weeks, and that just doesn't even look familiar to me. So I
So
thought, yeah, it's
this
either very
one-
old or very new.
Yeah, this one is called the Butterfly Queen. The
Never
Butterfly
heard of
Queen.
that. Yeah.
But I just thought it was
Interesting.
so fantastic.
It
And you
is.
were talking about Jason Manter, so I knew you'd love it.
The designs, the shapes, just it's just different than
They
any
are
other piece of
different.
fabric that I look at.
I
I mean,
almost feel
the
like they're
graphic.
kind of galactic, almost like outer space, kind of almost like futuristic outer space, yet, modern also. I like the combination of them. I really love them as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of like um there's one line that's kind of a combination of that galactic type mingled with um very more like back to Genesis kind of um organic. I don't know. Yeah. Um but I mean there's so much art in the fabric in general, but there's just something really different about his. Um and the richness of the colors.
Yeah,
Um the just the tinting in his coloring. And it's not just this particular one. I mean, I do have, a pretty decent stack up there. And yeah, it's just yeah, he's
Stephanie, are
phenomenal.
you looking to see if this one is a old line?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I
Oh,
am trying to make sense of what sizes I need to cut for all of these. So that way I don't cut the wrong thing. That's what I'm doing.
yeah. When I store my when I how I organize my fabric is almost all by color. I'm pretty much all by color, with the exception of, first, if it's not quilting cotton, all my quilting cotton goes in, its own bins. It's by color. Okay. And then any garment or anything else, I don't have as much of that. So that stash is very small and very easy to keep organized just in one place, one little bin. But then my quilting cotton, if as long as I can fold it in the way that I fold it, which is in this shape right here, I fold it down to what is a quarter of a yard, and then half it and fold it like a book. And that's how it sits in my containers. So that way it's very easy, for me to see what the
See,
design
yeah,
is. And everything is the same. I know that no matter if I have a fat quarter, I can fold it that way. If I have a third of a yard, I can fold it that way. Just, take it down to that quarter of the yard, and that's how I fold all of my stuff, unless it's more than 4 yards. If it's more than 4 yards, then I fold it similar to the way that people do on comic book boards. And because it's, bulkier, and you need a different way. But all of it's done by color, with the exception of two designers, which is Tula Pink and Anna Marie Horner. And
I
all of
started looking at the Tula stuff. It's pretty fascinating.
those two designers, they have their own bin. And then my scrap stuff is anything that I cannot fold in that stack
Sure.
that will fit, then it goes into my scrap bin. And that's a mess. I aspire to do something. Well, I don't have a whole ton of it, but I have enough. But I aspire to do the Lori Holt method one day, but we discussed that last week.
Yeah, I gotta
Yeah.
figure that out. I
We'll
don't
see.
know.
I
My
do have
scraps are crazy.
I did start doing that comic book board thing. And I have quite a bit. I think
I don't use the
I
comic
went through
board.
two packages. I like
I've been through
200. I
packages
think I went
so
through two
far.
packages. And now
Three.
I'm
I
kind
might
of
be on
second
3.
guessing whether I'm going to do that because I have some folded like you were talking about, Gwendolyn.
We'll see.
I have a couple of stacks and I kind of like that. And the
Right.
way it fits, it almost seems like it could probably fit more in each tube than the
Well,
comic book way.
even when I have it on the shelf, because it sits like this, it just fits nice
Yeah,
within the depth of the shelf, and where I can
yeah,
see everything on one side.
yeah,
And so the thing is that I used to have all my not, I wouldn't say all of my stuff, but most of my stuff in cabinets. But when I moved the cabinets out of this big room, which is our biggest space in the house, back to when my daughter moved out to her bedroom, and that became my sewing room, which right now it's more of a sewing storage space because I never actually sew in it, even though I have all my stuff back there and I could
Yeah.
sew it. But when my cabinets got moved back there, they really became a place for me to hold all of like my notions and my little tchotchkes and my fun stuff, my ironing stuff, all that instead of my fabric. And my fabric I put in bins. And I want my husband to make shelves similar to what Stephanie has, where they go all the way up to the ceiling. He
So
keeps
I
saying, "Oh,
like
do IKEA," but IKEA ones don't go all the way up to the ceiling. I want my fabric ones to go all the way up to the ceiling. And he did, he made me a really lovely one for the kitchen that goes all the way up to the ceiling where I keep my cookbooks on, but I'm not moving that one back to my store, back to my sewing room,
Well, if you
because then what would I
do,
do with all my cookbooks?
if you
so
do cubes, like modular cubes, you have more
So
flexibility with how
I
how
used,
many you can stack up.
it's
I
a
found
it's a
that the
lot of
depth
weight
of those
though.
wasn't great.
yeah.
It's a lot of depth though, and they can slide out the back, and then you're trying to figure out what you got back there. Because we used to do that with like some pre-cuts too, and then something would be all dusty on the floor and it would be a hot mess. But I like it because I can see what I have,
That's
and
right.
because I do not have an or a natural light source down here, it's not going to fade. Like it'll
Right.
be fine the way it is. And I can see what I have and I can shop my stash and work from that as opposed to like, oh, well, I need this, that, or the other thing. And now I truly am going to the store when I need like backing fabric and I want something to specifically match what it is that I'm working on. But I can start with what I have. And that's
I
really
like to
helpful
be
for
able to
me.
see. I like to be able to see it. Um, Maybe if I didn't see it, I wouldn't be starting sewing.
Right. I like to be able to see
But
it too. And I always use
I
it
mean,
by
is there
color.
anything more beautiful than seeing your
It's gorgeous.
stash, though? I mean, like,
Absolutely
look
fantastic.
at how happy that is.
I never could have
So
imagined
lovely.
even having a stash and then having
I
it.
know,
It's
right?
just like I just sit there and daydream at it, or a lot of
Well,
it
that's half of
I'm
my
looking at
hobby.
wondering, what
I
am
got
I ever
small
going to do with
kids.
some of
Like, I
that?
just stare at
It's
the fabric.
That's
yeah,
your second hobby, staring and
That
I
might
know,
collecting
even be
right?
the
fabric.
first one.
You're funny.
Sometimes I touch it. Like,
I know.
We all do. We all do.
I know.
Earlier in the wintertime, I was just finishing off quilt for my grandson, and I actually have the very first quilt that I ever made when my son went off to the army. When he got back. Anyway, he handed me back his quilt that I gave him when he was a little boy, and he said, "Can you fix this?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." So it's still sitting over here. Anyway, fast forward, 10 or 15 years, and so now I'm working on my grandkids' quilts, and my son happened to stop by, and I'm like, "I know you're in a hurry, but just come look at this. Just come look," because I was just feeling really proud of like what I'm making lately. It's just a cut above anything I could have imagined skill wise. I've just learned so much from ladies like you, from ladies in my guild and YouTube and
Mhm.
whatever. So I'm like, just a minute, just come take it. And it's like, I didn't want anybody to see it until I was ready to gift it, but I just wanted him to see. And he walked down here and he looked at it and he was like, all of a sudden I could hear him go, he kind of gasped and he looked at it like, what am I looking at? And then I saw him, he reached out like this and he twitched it. Like he could feel it's just fabric, right? But I teared up because when you touch it like this,
Mhm.
it's like you're feeling something, I don't know, with a heartbeat. It's like, no, but it was just, but it,
There
so
is
to
something
see
very
that,
real about those moments when you
I
felt it.
know. And there was just such a reinforcement, a gratification that, it wasn't just something that, I was kind of proud of or whatever, but, you
Sometimes
know,
when you smell something, it brings you memories.
Yeah.
Oh,
That
yeah.
feeling does the same thing.
yeah, yeah.
Oh my
And,
gosh, that's true.
especially when after I told him what it was. I have a, I have a sample of it. I actually have my other grandsons over here. But for some reason I started stockpiling my husband's clothes like when we were like I mean 18, 19 years old. Um and well, we were 15 and 16 when we met, and he realized that I knew how to use my mom's sewing machine. So he had me start mending his jeans. So later on, after we got married, I mean, he would let his jeans just go to rags before he would buy another one. And for some reason, I started stockpiling them. And I have a few stockpiles of just different categories of his clothes over the last 50 years. But so these particular ones that I make for my grandsons were out of his chambray work shirts and
Oh, nice.
and scraps. And so when my son
I mean,
looked at
that's
that,
how the first quilts came to be.
he saw
It
that,
is.
yeah. And so this is this is kind of identical to the one that I just gifted to one grandson. And then I'm finishing off doing some quilting on this one before so it's so the blue is the shirts, and then the
Oh,
colored parts are
lovely.
just the scrappy. I just, I scrounge off the free table at Guild, but no repeats. There's oh, I forget now how
Wow.
many.
It's very
I
special.
counted them up. But there are no repeats. And the identical one there's repeats in, but no repeats in each one. So, but yeah, it's heirloom. And I have a couple like blue jean, you know, um, quilts designed. Actually, my son in Louisiana has one that I made probably about 25, 30 years ago of his cargo pants. Um, took his cargo pants and just cut around the pockets and whatever. And I just did like, I don't know, like 6 and 12 inch squares, 4 patches and whatever. It's just very random, but I love doing that kind of stuff. My niece is scrapping, so um, so yeah, dealing with this Jason Yenter stuff is making me crazy. But I could do a scrap quilt like nobody.
That's
So,
what I need to know how to do. I'm like, there needs to be a plan. And then I'm like reading all this stuff about improv. It's like I dream of doing improv. I bet you it would be my thing if I could
Every
just
time
make
I start,
myself do it.
every time I start an improv, I wind up doing it planned improv. I mean, it just, I don't know.
well, I think you need to have there.
There has to be some
You
structure.
can do there have the structure. It's there. You can do scrappy. The first scrap quilter that I learned from Lynn Dykstra, she did a workshop at our guild, and she really revolutionized my scrapping. And then now, just touching on to, some of these other scrap
Hmm.
quilters that are teaching me to have structure, but yet still, um,
Right,
enjoy
like
the
make your
scrappiness.
slab or things like that. Like have have a rule or two and kind of
Yeah,
work off of that.
So
yeah.
I should find out the name of this, but it was something that I read through my publisher and gave a review for. It is literally the only scrap quilting method I think I would ever do, because what they do is they just make fabric out of the scraps. So, like, you grab all your
Slab.
beds and you just make the whole fabric from it. And then you cut it up and you make whatever block from it. So it's like you're still doing a half square triangle or whatever,
Right.
but it's made from all your teeny tiny little scraps
Yeah, they
of,
call that slab. So when you
yeah.
make a bigger piece of fabric out of your little pieces, essentially you
Mhm.
make a slab of fabric made of other fabric. Um, I've been reading a lot. I mean, I've always read a lot, but
Yeah.
that's
Which
what's
I
on the
loved it.
docket this week.
Like, I literally am not a scrap quilter. I don't want to be a scrap quilter. This is the only type of scrap quilting I could ever see myself doing in my entire life, is something like that.
This is my level of scrap quilting. I'm like making English paper piecing out of it. Like
I mean, I did do
All of
that
these
too.
are Ruby Star scraps.
I did do that too. So you're
You know
an
what?
That's
influence on me.
controlled chaos for me.
Yeah.
I gotta
do
say
that.
goodnight, y'all.
We
I have a
are at
date
midnight. This
I have
is
a
Oh, we
usually
date
made
when
with
it
we
to
one
cut
of
it
my
midnight.
off.
train tomorrow.
So,
Ooh,
oh goodness.
It's been
All right.
wonderful
Well,
hanging with you guys.
thank you so much. We
always
had a
is.
great group today, a good conversation.
I
So
watched
we
a
do
bunch
this.
of your videos today, this
Oh,
Those are
did
past
my
you?
week
tiny little
too.
pinwheels.
Well, thank you.
So
Those
yeah,
YouTube ads are always helpful.
yeah. Giving thumbs up.
I
So
watch your
we
YouTube videos too. Do I get a
do you?
trade? Yes, I do. I actually recently
It's super
watched some on
helpful.
your half square triangles because you
Trying to get some
the
tip
person
pointers.
or it was on the flying geese.
Oh
Flying
yes,
geese.
those are helpful.
Now check out
Ah,
the link that you sent me about the triangles and all that.
Yes. So that
oh
has
yeah, do
like
that.
So
many
I'll take a
different
look.
links, including how to put them together and fudge it. So I feel like everyone needs
And
to
I
know
could do
that.
them scrappy too, I'll betcha.
Oh, for
Oh,
sure.
I'm sure you
We
could.
do like 4 at a time flying geese, but you can, it just means you'll have 4 identical somewhere in there. But
Mhm.
She's doing
it,
half squares though, so
half
2 at
squares
a
you can,
time.
yeah, everything can be all wild with that. But we do this every Friday night, start at 9:30
Yeah,
CST. So
That time already?
it's
whenever I
midnight.
can,
Wow.
Except I feel
I
like I am gonna continue cutting this probably until like 2 in the morning. So,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I
make
feel
that
like
sacrifice and get a coffee
I
Good
gotta
night,
go
machine.
get a
y'all.
It's gonna happen.
Band-Aid for my
All right.
Good
cut.
night.
Good night, Donna.
Good
Thanks for
night,
joining us.
everyone. Night,
Bye.
Donna.
Bye.
Bye,
Night.
Gwendolyn. Bye, Jen.
Good
Bye,
night.
Gwen.
Renee.